listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And download every episode and more at basicallyasportsshow.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg, Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Because 90s retro nostalgia.
Okay, I grew up in the 90s. I'm all over 90s retro nostalgia, but the whole thing about Snapback was that it's not nostalgic. It's just inferior, crappy technology.
Yes, I agree. And I will admit this, my head is too big for basic snapback hats, so I can't wear them.
Right. Same with mine. Like, if I wear them, I get the dents in the front.
Yeah.
But supposedly they fixed, like, the front of the cap, it's bigger, and so it's more like a new era, like 5950.
Are we recording? Because this would be good discussion.
Oh, yes, we actually are. So let me do my thing here. We are recording. Okay, let's move along.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Like, I've got a size 8 5950 head. Like, I wear a size 8.
Damn, your head's bigger than mine, man.
Yeah, I think I'm only like 7 3/4 at the biggest.
So
that's me. Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
So if I'm wearing a snapback, it's always on like the very last thing.
Yeah.
And then it gets all like it slides around, and then it inevitably comes undone. And you know what? It's just a shitty, crappy technology that went away. Now I like the 90s.
This is also the same reason why hipsters write on typewriters.
See, I have a terrible. I can't without spell check. My writing would come off as functionally illiterate. So
it's funny that you mentioned that, because sometimes I see typewriters, I'm like, oh, it'd be neat to own a typewriter, maybe write on it. And then I think about it, it's like, well, no.
Why do they write on typewriters?
Things, like, get checked or I have to erase, like, ugh.
Why do they write on typewriters?
Because it's
old and kitschy.
Oh, okay. You can do old for uniforms, cars, and memorabilia.
Yes.
Other than that, there's nothing cool about using an old rotary dial telephone, which you guys probably don't even know what that is.
No, my grandma had one.
Okay, there's nothing cool about that.
One of those, the two pieces where you hold the earpiece up to your
head and turn the twist.
Hello, operator. Pitch me through to St. Louis.
No, you know that's
give me Klondike 755.
That's at Greg's house.
Yeah.
No. I mean.
God, I'm trying to think. When was the last time I had a rotary dial phone? Probably when I was a really young kid, because, you know, things got really cool and the touchstones came out, and that was the thing you had to have.
When I was a kid, my mom owned a rotary Mickey Mouse phone.
Cool.
Yeah.
My girlfriend still has one of those, but it's more like a collector's thing than an actual functional phone. We don't even have a phone line in the house. But on
the snapbacks, like, because I grew up in the 90s, I like a lot of the 90s designs, like the actual designs on the caps. Mm-hmm. Like, that's fine. I'm all for bringing those back. I know exactly
where you're going, and I agree.
Just make them not snapbacks.
Right. I love all the retro designs that are coming out, but it's like I go to pick up a hat, like, oh, that looks nice, because from the front, it looks just like your regular old fitted cap. I'm like, oh, this is sweet. And I pick it up, and I turn it around. Oh, no, snapback. And then I immedially just cry one single tear and put it back on the rack.
I mean,
go ahead, Mike.
We shouldn't be bringing back shitty, stuff like wholesale. We should bring back the cool designs, but leave the outdated technology in the past.
Yeah, because Nike on the MLB.com shop website, Nike's got some really cool hats that from the front they look awesome, and they're cheaper than the 5950s, but they're snapbacks, so they're useless to me. And I like this. If I can't get a fitted hat, I like the flex fit hats. Those work out pretty well too. But snapbacks, forget it. They're just
like two flex fits, and I don't know, because I have a big head. Like, even the flex fits don't.
Yeah, you got to.
They feel weird.
I will tolerate the Velcro. I
don't know.
I'm not saying I'm happy about it, but I'll tolerate it.
The Velcro as opposed to the snaps?
Yes.
Yeah, but again, when you've got heads the size of ours, it's tough to find even a Velcro hat that will work.
What about the straps? Have you ever worn a hat with a strap on the back instead of a...
Yeah, I hate those.
Yeah. 47 brand has the straps.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan either. When I was a kid, snapbacks all the time. But the first time I ever put a fitted cap on my head, I said, never again. Never again will I do a snapback.
Well, see, now my problem now with the fitted hats is everything's got the flat bill. And I'm sorry, but at my age, I can't go around wearing the flat-billed hat.
Oh, come on, Rocket.
Can't do it.
Rocket.
Can't do it.
You can bend them.
Yeah, but they don't.
Like I hate when people complain about that because you can definitely bend them.
Can you bend them and they look smooth with a nice curve, or do they get wrinkles and creases and stuff? Well, then maybe I'll try one because they've got the local TJ Maxx has quite a few really nice throwback hats that have the flat brim. So I'll have to try.
You have to work it in a little bit.
Okay.
But what I do with my baseball hats, like my Angel hats, because when I go to games, because I go to so many, I wear the same hat every day, and it's always outside. And so I sweat, and the thing eventually gets too dirty, and I usually wear my Angel hats for maybe 2 seasons before I have to get a new one. And so what I do is I just curve the bill and make it more, like, because it gets so fitted to my head that the complete flatness of the bill goes away, and there's a slight curve. So once it gets to a certain point, I just go all the way and bend the thing.
I'll have to try that because they've got them. I'm willing to blow $8 on a hat and see if I can get the bill to curve. So I'm all right with that.
What a lot of people have done. I've never tried it. People are trying where you wear the hat in the shower.
Yeah,
and you mold it to your head, and then the cardboard and the bill gets wet, so you can really bend it.
Yeah, because the wool hats will shrink, or if you put it on with it and then let it kind of dry, it will kind of form to your head. So yeah, I've heard people do that. I haven't tried it yet, but
no, I don't want to risk destroying a hat that I want to wear by doing that.
Well, I had an old Angels, one of the Flex Fit hats. I forget, it's the 3930s, I think they're called by New Era.
Yeah.
And it was dirty and beat all to hell. Had a big old spot on it, and I thought, well, I don't want to get rid of it, so I threw it in the washing machine. And believe it or not, it came out perfectly clean, and the bill stayed nice, and everything worked. Yeah.
You put it in one of those like hat cages?
Nope, just threw it in there.
Oh, really?
Threw it in there with 2 or 3 other hats, yeah, and all of them came out on the other side fine. So, but I wouldn't suggest it if it's a good New Era hat that you care about what happens to it. Don't do it. These are hats that I thought I've got nothing to lose here, and it worked out pretty well. So there you go. There's Greg's hat advice for this week.
And for the love of God, people, take the stickers off the brims.
Yeah, what is that all about? Can somebody explain that to me?
Originally, because it was in the hip-hop culture where it came up, people thought they would look more, gangster or get more street cred because it looked like it was stolen.
Oh.
Because you have the tag still on it.
Okay.
I did that for like a minute because I thought it was super cool.
Zach was a super cool guy.
But eventually I took off the one on top that said the size of the hat. But I always left the holographic one on the underside of the bill. I don't know why. I just thought it gave me something else to look at when I was bored.
I don't have anything to do. I think I'll look at the hologram in my hat.
Yeah,
I don't know. Eventually, that's my stupid justification for it, I guess. But I just started leaving it on.
And whatever
I've
happened
taken it off the last couple ones because eventually it starts to peel, and I take it off. So
whatever happened to the green underbrims?
They got exchanged for black.
I don't like that. I miss the green.
American Needle Cooperstown hats still have, depending on the team. I'm wearing my 1960 something or other Pirates hat right now, and it has the green underneath.
I miss the green.
But it just depends on the hat. But if it had a green underbill back then, it's what it has now. The American Needle hats, if you like fitted hats, they're great. But the problem is you can't get anything but retro hats. That's all in this style. That's all they do. But the Pirates hat looks exactly like the one they wear now, other than the button on the top is yellow as opposed to black, like the regular hats. But I like the yellow button, so I'm okay with it.
Are you wearing a jersey to accompany the hat this week, Greg?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Pirates?
What are you rocking this week?
I'm rocking my Pirates alternate.
Oh, so you're going all Pirates tonight?
All Pirates tonight, yeah.
All Buccos.
Yeah, I've got a terrible fear now that if I don't wear a jersey on the show, bad things will happen. So now I'm stuck with this.
Gotcha.
It's just what I got to do.
I'm wearing my Charlotte Bobcats hoodie.
There you go.
That I bought specifically to commemorate what I feel to be an unfairly maligned identity.
Because my grandparents just came back from a nice trip to Australia and New Zealand, I'm currently wearing my New Zealand Rugby All Blacks jersey.
I saw that on Facebook. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's it's very comfortable. Super comfortable.
Oh, rugby shirts are the best.
It's actually really high quality. Like it's basically like a soccer jersey for all intents and purposes. But the logo, like the badge, the fern with the all black, it's not just like a sewn patch. It's like hard plastic that's like on the shirt.
Interesting.
And the Adidas logo is actually, it's not just screen printed on there. It's actually thickly embroidered, which is nice.
Cool.
It's like super quality. I love it.
Cool.
And when they left, like, we're going to be gone for a month. What do you want from Australia and New Zealand? I'm like, well, I wanted something sports related, and I couldn't think of anything from Australia I really wanted. I guess I could have asked for an Australian soccer team jersey, but
No, the problem with Australian soccer team jerseys, and this is a useless trivia fact for everyone out there, the Australian soccer team uses the Australian coat of arms as their crest.
A kangaroo and a emu or something.
Yes. The problem is that according to Australian law, you're not allowed to sell anything with the coat of arms on it. Oh. So the retail versions you get of Australian soccer team jerseys kind of black out the central part of the coat of arms and just stick like a generic soccer ball or something there.
I didn't look because my grandparents did get one. They got one for my uncle because he's an American football coach. And so when my grandma said, "Oh, it's an Australia football jersey," when she came back, I'm like, "No, it's a football jersey." I'm like, "No, Grandma, that's football is soccer." But it says it right here on the logo. Australia football. I'm like, I know what it says.
Oh God.
You know what?
It was weird. So they got the Australia soccer jersey, and it's bright yellow, so that's fine. My uncle can have it. They got a cricket jersey for my other uncle, so fine.
Cricket is awesome. I don't care what anyone has to say.
It's like a polo shirt with like a zip up in the front.
Oh yeah, no. Cricket is awesome, and cricket uniforms are awesome.
Yeah, cricket's weird. And then I'm like,
real baseball.
When they were going to
Excuse me?
No, cricket's not like baseball. Cricket's
He
weird.
called it real baseball. I should hang up on him.
But I knew they were going to New Zealand, and the first thing when I think of New Zealand is the All Blacks rugby team. So I'm like, I want an All Blacks jersey.
I'm looking. I'll tell you what I think would be cool from Australia is an Australian baseball league jersey, preferably say the Brisbane Bandits. But I'm looking on their website; they've got some neat stuff. I wonder how much this stuff would cost by the time I bought it and had it shipped halfway around the world.
My other thinking was Aussie rules football, but then I remembered they're sleeveless.
Yeah.
Oh, they are, aren't they?
Yeah, Aussie rules
that's
football.
right. Yeah.
I wasn't gonna.
Not gonna rock the
Test
sleeveless jersey.
No.
You're not going to invite everyone to the gun show?
No. No.
Come on,
No,
Zach, live a little.
I like sleeves. Occasionally, I'll wear like one of my basketball jerseys out in the summer if I'm going to like the beach, maybe. Where at that point it doesn't matter; you're going to take your shirt off anyway. But yeah, I like sleeves; they're comfortable. Yeah.
A little bit of Australian memorabilia and sports apparel talk here on Basically a Sports Show.
Should we get to the glorious tournament victory? Knock that out of the way.
Yes, let's do just that. The Sweet 16 in the glorious tournament victory.
Strange 16.
The Strange 16.
So now we're getting down to not the Elite Eight,
I don't even know what to go with that one.
Yeah.
What starts with an E?
The Egregious 8?
The Egregious 8.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay, the Egregious 8 it is. So, not a lot of competitive matches in this round, guys. There were two. Yep. 2 competitive matches. The rest were pretty much one-sided blowouts. Do you want?
I have a feeling one of them that's competitive, which shouldn't have been competitive.
Okay.
One in my bracket.
Nope.
No, really. Okay,
Nope.
well then.
Nope.
The voting on the board scared me a little bit, but the online component didn't. Didn't match up, I guess.
Yeah. Do you want to take a guess at the 2 that were the close ones?
I don't have the matchups in front of me.
I'd say Mother Russia and Chimp driving a Malibu.
Okay.
Was one close one. And another close one, I'm going to say Megatron versus Iron Man.
No, actually. Russia versus 97 Chimp was a fairly close match, but the two close ones were actually closer than that one. But let's just get right to the scores. What do you say?
Sounds good.
This time we had 14 internet responses and 6 on the boards for a total of 20. This time I did the entire scores, so everything's got a breakdown, so we will know the score in each version of the voting and the whole bit, with a complete final score. So, in our first matchup in the 2014 Glorious Tournament of Victory, from the Charlie Conway Memorial region, number 1 seed Walter White versus number 12 seed a quizzical Dilophosaurus, the dinosaur that killed Dennis Nedry in Jurassic Park. Not even close, this one.
Walter White?
Walter White in a romp, yes.
All right. I was afraid because the board scared me a little bit with some of the voting there when it came to that matchup. A lot of people picking the Dilophosaurus. It's good to see the number 1 seed pull out, because I think if the next matchup goes the way that I believe,
we're gonna have a pretty.
We're gonna have the match of the tournament. This is the championship game. Is going to be happening in this bracket.
We've got the matchup coming up that we all wanted, and we're not giving anything away. The goddamn Batman, number 2 seed, takes on number 3 Norway's Curling Pants, and this one was not close either. Batman with a romp win. The final score, 16-4. 10-4 on the online poll, 6-0 on the boards to make it a final of 16-4. And to go back to the Walter White Dilophosaurus game, final score on that one was Walter White 14, the Dinosaur 6, 9-5 on the internet, 5-1 on the boards. So,
I thought it was closer on the boards. Anyway,
I have to think that Batman had a pretty easy time for the Curling Pants, because someone brought up a great point. Batman's used to fighting villains with outlandish costumes.
Yeah.
The pants would not faze him.
Well, and Batman's stealthy. The pants are obviously very out there.
Well, the thing is, and the Batman, again, has yet to be seriously challenged. Now, in 2 runs in the Glorious Tournament of Victory, I got to tell you, at this point, I'm looking at a repeat. I think he goes all the way again. That's just
some people might say that he's had an easy schedule, but I think at this point it's just mostly due to his sheer dominance.
Yeah, it's not like he's been put up against easy matchups. He's just never had a challenge.
Right. He's been so physically better than the rest of the field. But this matchup against Walter White, I think, is greatest test yet. And this is going to push him to the limits. I don't know if he can come out of this one. It's going to be tough.
It's going to be interesting because, as I said on last week's show, Walter White could legitimately... I mean, he would be a serious Batman adversary in the comic books or movies.
Yeah.
Walter White could hang with some of... No, I'm not going to say he could hang with the Joker. I'm not going to go that far. But Walter White, he could hang with some high-level Batman villains.
He could hang with the Penguin or Two-Face.
Oh, sure. Easily.
He's very much in the same vein.
Something to think about with Walter White. We have seen him find some pretty interesting ways to take people out.
Yes.
And that's something to think about.
I mean, the thing that has to be kept in mind, though, is that Batman's suit protects him from anything other than a dead-on straight shot from a handgun.
But we've also seen Walter White poisoned a kid.
Walter White, he poisoned a child.
Yeah.
He poisoned a child.
He's also used science.
Yes.
But
White's no dummy.
I would counter that Batman has probably been quietly tracking Walter White's career and has planned ahead for how to deal with Walter White.
I'm sure he does.
I'm just saying that when we started with the field of 64, everyone wanted to see this matchup. We've got it. The number 1 and the number 2 seed, just like it should be out of the Charlie Conway Memorial region. So we've got it. That's what it's going to be. But yeah, I tell you, this is the one. I think whoever wins this wins the whole thing. I just don't see anyone left that could take him down.
Hey, he's going to get by Megatron first there, homeboy. Slow down.
We'll see.
We'll get there in a little bit. Let's move on to what it means to be a Cleveland Brown region of abject despair.
Alrighty.
Okay, in the first matchup, it was the number 13 seed, Astronaut Chimp with a newspaper, taking on number 2 seed, the Polar Vortex.
I thought he took on the Comfort Wipe.
Or excuse me, you're right, the Comfort Wipe. What am I saying?
Yes. Polar Vortex took on Somali Pirates.
I read my own. I can't read my own handwriting. You're right. Okay, let me go back and say that again then. Astronaut Chimp with a newspaper taking on number 16 seed, the upstart of the tournament, the Comfort Wipe. Any predictions?
Oh, man, I don't know.
I think the comfort wipe came out with another upset.
It's interesting because we went over how chimps love feces and how a comfort wipe would help him with feces.
Yeah.
But an astronaut chimp also poops through a tube.
This is
so
true.
We need the comfort wipe. It was an interesting battle. I'm definitely interested to see the results on this one.
I will just say this. We have talked over the past couple shows about the dominance of the Chimp Conference. Mm-hmm. The SEC, if you will, of the Glorious Tournament of Victory. Mm-hmm. A lot of people thought the comfort wipe might be where the Chimp would meet his end. But in keeping with Chimp Conference tradition, it was a dominant performance by Astronaut Chimp. He wins in a blowout, mind you, 14-6 over the comfort wipe. Never even close. Never even close. It was 10-4 in the online poll voting and 4-2 on the boards. Astronaut Chimp with a newspaper moves on with a 14-6 win over number 16 seed, the comfort wipe. And the comfort wipe, I really thought if he could get past the Chimp, had a shot at going all the way, but the Chimp Conference, these guys, they show up to play every year, and here they are again in the Egregious 8. So, up next, now we'll get to the Polar Vortex. Number 2 seed, the Polar Vortex, taking on number 5 seed, 5 drunken Somali pirates, Eddie County Fair.
I
gotta think because of your little Freudian slip there. I think we had the Polar Vortex.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to say the Polar Vortex, if only because the Somali pirates are used to the climate in Africa, in Eastern Africa, which is very tropical. I don't think they would handle the Polar Vortex very well.
Well, this one, we've talked, there have been 3 straight blowouts so far in the first 3 games. This game was the biggest blowout of this round. The Polar Vortex cruises to an easy win over the 5 drunken Somali pirates, 17-3. 12-2 on the online poll, 5-1 on the boards, never even a contest. Mm-hmm. So our matchup in the Cleveland Browns, what it means to be a Cleveland Brown, region of abject despair, will be number 13 seed, Astronaut Chimp with a newspaper taking on number 2 seed, the Polar Vortex.
Ooh, that'll be interesting.
That's going to be a tough match for the Chimp. But we've seen...
The Chimp did survive in the cold vacuum of space.
That's true. That's true. People should think about that. So... on to the Chubbs-Peterson Memorial region, where we had number 1 seed Mother Russia taking on number 4 seed Chimp driving a 97 Malibu.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
Definitely, because the Mother Russia, crazy. Chimp driving a Malibu, crazier. And, of course, the Chevy is American-made. So will he survive in Russia?
Good points.
I don't know. This was just so beyond the pale. I could not bring myself to pick one or the other. I'm just waiting for the final score.
Well, I'm glad that Andy's not here this week because he would be really disappointed in this.
Did the Chimp Conference suffer a defeat?
The Chimp Conference suffered a defeat at the hands of Mother Russia, but...
can Vladimir Putin be stopped?
The final score, 13-7... The online poll is where the Chimp lost this thing. He lost 10-4 on the online poll. He was tied 3-3 on the boards. It looked for a little while when I was tallying up the votes. The Mother Russia got out to a big lead early. Chimp driving a 97 Malibu came storming back, but it wasn't enough in the end, and he goes down to defeat. So Mother Russia, number 1 seed in the Chubbs-Peterson Memorial region, will move on.
Vladimir Putin has vanquished a member of the Chimp Conference. You know, I have to start taking Mother Russia seriously in this tournament at this point.
If memory serves, didn't Chimp driving a 97 Malibu lose in the Sweet 16 last year?
Yes, to slightly fatigued Liam Eason.
Right, so again, you've got the powerhouse, the Chimp Conference.
No, it wasn't in the Sweet 16, it was in the Elite 8.
Okay, well,
it was runner-up.
Cancel my next point. So... Mother Russia moves on, and we lose our second of the 3 Chimp Conference bids we had in this year's Glorious Tournament of Victory, leaving Astronaut Chimp with the newspaper as the only one remaining from the powerhouse Chimp Conference.
Wow.
On to the next matchup. Number 3, Daniel Day-Lewis's acting ability taking on number 15, Yammer Yager's Penguins Mullet.
I have to think that Daniel Day-Lewis's acting ability cruised to an easy victory.
Yeah, I think... if he can take down Satan... you have to have a pact with Satan to have a mullet that big.
Well, as we all know, tournaments, you never know what's going to happen.
Oh?
This one was the closest match of the Strange 16.
Wow.
But you guys are right. Daniel Day-Lewis comes out ahead with an 11-9 win. He only won by 2 points.
Wow.
Beat him. He beat Yager in the online poll 8-6, and it was tied 3-3 on the boards.
Interesting.
Very. So Daniel Day-Lewis's acting ability moves on. Yager's mullet, making an improbable run to the Sweet 16, but it's time to go home. So our matchup in the Chubbs-Peterson Memorial Region for the Egregious 8 will be number 1 seed Mother Russia taking on number 3 seed Daniel Day-Lewis's acting ability. Interesting matchup, but I think Mother Russia cruises in this one.
Yeah, I mean...
Mother Russia's got chimp-like magic going on this year.
I mean, Mother Russia, it's just a buzzsaw. I don't see how... I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis, could he play a convincing Vladimir Putin? Probably, yeah, but I have to think that if Daniel
Doesn't Mother Russia crush any and all creative license?
It does. It does. And I would have to think that if Daniel Day-Lewis were to go to Russia to perhaps try to study up on a part relating to Russia, he would be so flabbergasted by the absurdity that he would have to call it quits. So
he would lose himself in Mother Russia, just become one of the people.
He would lose
driven
himself
to madness and just become one of the proletariat.
He would be driven to madness
in a vodka factory.
He would be driven to madness, and he would lose himself in Mother Russia, yes.
Well, we will find out soon enough. Mm-hmm. So, moving on to the Sentinel Prime Memorial Region of Excellence.
Yes.
One of the matchups of the tournament here, I think, in the first matchup in this bracket. The number 5 seed, the Dogs of Sochi, a crowd favorite, mind you, taking on number 16 seed, another 16 seed making an improbable run so far, the Shark that the Fonz jumped. Mm-hmm. I will go on to say that this was also one of the closest matches of this round.
Okay.
Finishing with the same final score as Daniel Day-Lewis and Jaromir Jagr did. So, any predictions?
I have to think. I have to go with the Dogs just because the Dogs are a crowd favorite. They got the support of the fans behind them. I think that edges out the Shark.
I'm going to go the opposite way. I got to go with the Shark because I think at some point, I mean, it was obviously a huge story going into the Olympics and the first few days, but I think the Dogs jumped the Shark at some point. So
that would be exactly right, Zach.
Yeah.
You nailed it. Yes, the Dogs have indeed jumped the Shark. The Shark wins 11-9.
Wow.
Shark won the online poll 8-6, and it was a 3-3 tie on the board. So, again, a close match, but crowd favorite, the Dogs of Sochi, go home after a nice run in the Sweet 16.
And I got to say this, the Dogs of Sochi were perhaps one of the only competitors who could have stood up to Mother Russia. With them gone, I have to think that Mother Russia, their path to the finals just got a lot easier.
I think so, too. I just don't know who's going to stop them coming out of this side of the bracket.
I mean, because we knew that the Dogs of Sochi had already defeated Mother Russia once before, but with them out of the tournament, who else is there to stand up to Mother Russia?
Well, we've still got Iron Man and Megatron.
Oh, I'm interested to see who won this because, this just has this is Geek Dream Match written all over it. So who won this one?
Well, I'll give you a couple things ahead of time here. And one of the votes, it was a shutout, meaning that one side got all the votes, the other side got 0.
On the boards or online?
On the boards, it was a shutout.
Really?
Online, it was a blowout as well.
I'm gonna have to go with Iron Man because of something that WildWing64 brought up. Megatron has infused the blood of Unicron, also known as Dark Energon, into his being, and I would think that Iron Man's suit would be able to detect this. He would inform tournament officials, and Megatron would be disqualified for doping.
See, I was just going to say Tony Stark would put some vodka in that shit and drink it, but that's a good explanation too. Well, yes, Iron Man moves on easily in a 15-5 win to take on the Shark the Fonz jumped in the next round. So there you have it. We're down to the Egregious 8.
Now, I think this will be a tough one for Iron Man. Now, I'm a big Iron Man fan. I've been an Iron Man fan for years, but okay, I'm going to say it. Iron Man jumped the Shark in Iron Man 3.
Most definitely.
Whether or not that is enough to sink Iron Man in this matchup, I don't know. That's for the voters to decide. but I do think it'll make for an interesting matchup.
Well, I'll just go through the matchups one more time. Out of the Charlie Conway Memorial Region, it is number 1 seed Walter White taking on number 2 seed and defending champion, the goddamn Batman.
And with that, I'd like to point out, because of a rule that we instated at the beginning of this, because Batman was in the Final Four last season, if he returns to the Final Four this year, he will be retired.
Yes.
And, it's possible that due to Walter White, if the Batman were to make the Final Four, Walter White would be the runner-up and possibly get an automatic inclusion into next year's tournament. We shall see.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And in the Cleveland, what it means to be a Cleveland, God, I can't even say my own region anymore. In my region, the matchup will be number 2 seed, the Polar Vortex, making a nice tournament run here against Astronaut Chimp with a newspaper from the mighty, powerful Chimp Conference, a 13 seed. It's going to be a tough one for the Chimp. But, like Zach said, or you, Mike, I don't remember who it said, the Chimp has been in the cold vacuum of space. So I don't think a polar vortex is going to bother him all that much.
Here's something to ask yourselves, though. One of the things that can delay a rocket launch is extreme temperature. Is it possible that the polar vortex is so powerful that it delays the Chimp's launch and he never gets into space?
Well, see, that's a good question, because are we basing it on the Chimp going into space again, or the fact that he's already been there? It's a glorious tournament of victory conundrum we have on our hands.
That's up to the fans' interpretation.
Right. And in the Chubbs-Peterson Memorial Region, it will be number 1 seed Mother Russia taking on number 3 seed Daniel Day-Lewis's acting ability.
And Andy's put on suicide watch if this goes the wrong way.
Yeah. I really, I'll tell you, when I started doing the votes early on, it looked like the Chimp was going to take this thing. But Mother Russia just put a run together, and that was that. And, of course, in the Sentinel Prime Region of Excellence, Memorial Region of Excellence, number 2 seed, the Invincible Iron Man, taking on number 16 seed all the way to the Egregious 8 with the 16 seed, the Shark that defines jump. So there you go. The Egregious 8 and the glorious tournament of victory is set up. The voting will begin tomorrow.
Da, da, da!
Yeah. Colt McCoy roomed with Jordan Shipley.
Yeah.
And then in subsequent years, Case McCoy roomed with Jordan Shipley's brother.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Is Shipley still in the NFL? Wasn't he with the Bengals for a while?
I don't know.
Huh. Well, anyway.
I will Google that real quick.
I think he might, if he's in, I know he played with the Bengals. I'm almost positive.
Shit.
I'm way out of football mode right now, so I could be way off base, but I'm pretty sure he played with the Bengals.
Okay. Best ever
He's
Texas
a former wide receiver for the Bengals, Buccaneers, and Jaguars.
Wow.
You guys know who Charles Whitman is, right?
From Lost?
No.
Oh, no, I don't.
Okay. Charles, he was the guy who went up on that tower of University of Texas and started shooting up people.
Yes, okay, right.
Okay, the name of the Austin police officer who stopped him? Houston McCoy.
Please tell me they're related. to Colt and Pony and all the rest of the McCoys.
Colt, Pony, and all the rest.
Jordan Shipley, as of February 18th of this year, officially retired.
Really?
Yeah.
But isn't that the perfect name for a policeman in Texas?
Houston McCoy.
Houston McCoy.
You want to talk about opening day?
Okay.
No? I mean, is there anything you want to say about opening day?
It was awesome.
Thank you.
How about we talk about Johnny Manziel?
Sure.
And the flags.
Okay.
The flags that people are seeing.
Who the hell is the coach of Minnesota again?
Zimmer. Couldn't tell you his first name if you put Mike Zimmer. Okay, I can tell you his first name. Mike Zimmer, yes. They was it at his pro day, I think, or an interview or something, that he said that when talking to Manziel, there were flags that he saw that he didn't like or something like that. Really didn't have a lot of good things to say about him.
You know what though? This happens with any high level prospect toward the draft.
I agree.
Somebody somewhere is going to try to find as many holes in him as possible.
Well,
not because they're there, but maybe because he rubs them the wrong way. Like I almost guarantee maybe it's just like he doesn't like Manziel's attitude, so he then transposes that onto his football skills.
I think a part of it too is that Zimmer is setting it up so that if Manziel is available when they draft and they don't take him, he's already kind of laid the groundwork for why they weren't going to take him. I think that's part of it too. Because don't the Vikings pick like 8th, I think, in the draft?
I guess 7th or 8th, something like that.
Yeah, so let's say Manziel's still there. I think the Vikings could use a quarterback, but
he certainly doesn't want to play for Minnesota now.
Well,
and there's no way that Johnny Manziel's on a Cleveland Brown next year, right?
Probably not. What do the Browns have? The 4th pick, I think. Third. Yeah, he'll be a. Well, this is the thing. In my book, if Manziel gets drafted by the Browns, he'll be a bust. Anybody else will be a star. That's what I think.
You don't think that the Browns are going to turn it all around, new uniforms and all?
Nope. Why would I think that?
I mean, it's a valid point. I don't.
At
some point, it would have to turn, wouldn't you?
Statistically speaking, it should have happened by now. But
yeah, the law of big numbers says they would have gotten something right at this point.
I mean, what did the Factory of Sadness rant guys say? It's just by the sheer law of probability. It is harder to be this consistently bad than it is to be good once by accident.
It is. It's got to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, look at the Pirates, for God's sakes.
If I were the Browns with this pick, the number 4 pick, because this is a pretty deep draft for quarterbacks. Granted, there aren't a lot of franchise quarterbacks, but I think you could get a pretty decent quarterback in the 2nd or 3rd round. Mm-hmm. If I'm the Browns, in the condition they're in right now, I trade that pick, especially when you've got another number 1 pick, thanks to the Colts, coming up later. I just do not see. I don't care if you draft.
The Browns draft a running back.
Well, God.
Just to make me sad.
But you think about it, unless they do something to I don't care what the quarterback is, and we've seen so many quarterbacks over the years that may have been good that never got the chance because they were just beaten to death on bad teams. I would rather go with a guy, even a veteran that's, I don't know who's available, but instead of taking this franchise quarterback with no one to protect him, no one to throw to, and no one to hand the ball off to, build your team first, then get your quarterback. Another Johnny Manziel will come down the pike in the next year or two. So trade it and build the right way. Instead of trying to throw this Hail Mary pass, no pun intended, to get it all in one shot.
I always liked your suggestion of them trading for Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, wouldn't the Redskins love a first-round pick right now?
I would think.
And is Kirk Cousins worth that first-round pick? I guess you have to judge that.
It depends. But that's the thing, though. You could trade. You get Cousins. You give up the first-round pick. You get Cousins and maybe 2 of the Redskins picks in this year's draft. And you've just, to me.
I think the Redskins are – maybe they don't want to do that because they already did that to get RG3, trading all those first-round picks.
Right.
I mean, they would get one back, obviously, for that pick. But
well, I'm not saying if you trade first for first. I'm saying, okay.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying draft picks in total.
Yeah.
They've given up a bunch in that.
Plus, if the Redskins are smart, and they've shown no indication that they are, but just in case they accidentally do something right, with RG3's health being the way it is, I don't know that I let go of Cousins this year. Maybe next year, but not right now, because you just don't know. I don't even know if RG3 is healthy enough to play, or if he's ever going to be back to what we thought he was going to be. But the Browns need to trade that pick, because picking Johnny Manziel, it'll be great, and it'll get everybody excited until week 3 when we find out he's just Tim Couch all over again. Yeah. Not because of his talent, but just because
it's Cleveland.
It's Cleveland. Although there is this. He will be running for his life, and he seems to be pretty good when he's doing that. So that's something to consider as well. But
the Browns' terrible offensive line just became an asset.
Yeah, kind of. It kind of plays right into his game style. But I don't know. With the uniforms and all the stuff that they've done so far, this new group doesn't inspire or instill a lot of confidence in me.
Isn't this the third new group in as many years?
Well, yeah, and this owner, he thinks that it's a good idea to change these uniforms and go with something, quote,
cutting edge
and all that stuff, and he doesn't know his team or his market very well. But anyway, if you're
on the Browns uniforms, I just want to ask you one thing, Greg.
Okay.
Because, this on the boards, this kind of became a topic of discussion in terms of a potential Browns logo. And you voiced that you weren't too keen on a Bulldog logo, and I just wanted to ask you why.
Well, because
on the air.
The Dogs are a group of fans, usually drunk and fat and more than likely stupid, that take up one section of the stadium. The dog pound does not represent all Cleveland Browns fans, and thank God for that, because that's just not the way it works. So I don't think it's a good idea to hang your hat on that group of people, and I think a lot of Browns fans would feel the same way. The dog pound's neat. It's really cool. It's nice to have and all that. It's fun to put on TV because they all look like idiots, but I don't know that they represent the entirety of the Cleveland Browns fan base. That's why I think it's a bad idea.
It'd be like if the Raiders decided to change their guys, like their logo, from like a normal to Darth Vader, like a skull. Yeah. Instead of the face that it is right now.
That's the thing. I just think I'm trying to think of other places that have a specific group of fans that are kind of well-known.
Mike, would you like Boltman to be the Chargers' new logo?
Oh, God, no.
But no, I don't think the Bulldog's a good idea. I know everybody, that's the first thing everyone thinks of when they talk about the Browns getting a logo. Well, put the dog on their helmet. Then you just don't understand that does not cover all Browns fans. A lot of people
and Browns it's named after a person. It's just kind of a nebulous concept as to what the hell a Brown is.
Right. If you want to put a logo on the helmet, use the little elf guy. That at least is cool.
Yeah.
I like the elf logo.
I love the elf logo, and it's topical. It's a brownie elf, which is an actual thing. So. Yeah,
exactly. I actually saw somebody did a mock-up of a Browns helmet. They bought one of the a big, nice decal of the Browns elf and stuck it on an actual Browns helmet. It actually looks pretty good. I was surprised at how well I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, back to Manziel. If you're drafting, you're an NFL GM, does all this stuff, do you worry about it?
No.
The flags, quote unquote?
Okay, well, did he expand on what flags he saw? Did he expound on that concept?
He didn't like that Manziel had been in a commercial with LeBron James. He didn't like the fact that Manziel...
Oh, see, so it's exactly what I said.
Yeah,
he has an attitude problem with Manziel.
Exactly.
Not that he's a bad football player.
No, if I'm a GM, and granted, there's probably good reason I'm not a GM in the NFL, but, hypothetically, if I were, I don't care. I don't care what commercials he's been in. The big concern is, does he have the skills to produce on the field?
Yeah.
And if he does...
Peyton Manning, one of the greatest pitch men when it comes to athletes of all time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. How many commercials
he's a pretty darn good quarterback, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Like, has anyone actually said Peyton Manning has an attitude problem because of all the Papa John's commercials? No,
but
it's ridiculous.
Another thing that Mike Zimmer said about Manziel is that he doesn't think he's the guy that will be the quote-unquote first one in, last one to leave, think football all the time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank God.
I kind of agree with that. You, Mike, with what you said, not with what Zimmer said. But
we've talked about how there's this crazy notion that if you're in the NFL, you have to think football 24/7. No, that's not healthy. It doesn't matter what you do for your profession, whatever you happen to do for a living. It's not healthy if you think that 24/7.
Well, don't you? Oh, go ahead, Zach.
Like with, going back to Peyton Manning or Tom Brady. People say that they're really hard workers, but I don't think I've ever heard anyone say to either of them that they're the first one in, last one out.
No,
that they just work hard all the time.
This is something
just one more thing, because just before the show started. ESPN, I think I was on ESPN too, I don't remember. They were showing the John Gruden QB camp.
Okay.
With him. And, obviously he knows he's on camera and knows that he needs to act a certain way maybe. But I liked what I saw out of the kid, at least in that short little span and what that could show you. And I think over the years the last few years that they've been doing this, I think they've been pretty good gauges. I've liked what I've seen, and they've translated pretty well to how they perform eventually.
Well, our favorite football writer here on Basically a Sports Show, Peter King.
Oh, God.
Anyway, he wrote an article back when the Combine was going on, and I guess he followed Manziel around to a couple of interviews he did with teams, and he said that he was very impressed by Johnny Manziel because he walked into the room, he knew who everyone was. He said he walked up to like a GM who, I don't know the name, but he's like, "Hi, I'm Johnny Manziel. Nice to meet you, Mr. Whoever," you know? But this is just, it's one guy that's, I don't know if he's trying to kill his draft stock. I don't know what he's trying to do, if he's trying to set it up in case they get a chance to draft Manziel and they don't take him. But I think a bigger question here is at least in my book anyway, it seems to me like they're kind of trying to take personality out of being an NFL quarterback at times. Mm-hmm. You know, first one in, last one out, think football all the time. Like you said, no one says that about Manning or Brady, but let's go back. The personality, I mean, everybody loved Brett Favre. The media did anyway. Mm-hmm. There's a guy with a personality. It's just that, do they want quarterbacks to just be these football automatons that just don't do anything but play football and this and that? I just think that you're taking some of the fun out of the position by getting this hung up on little things like a commercial or this and that, you know?
Well, I think, look at the last two guys to win the Super Bowl. Joe Flacco, Russell Wilson. Yeah, I think they see those two guys, and neither of them are exactly type A.
We've no hey, do not talk trash on Joey Flacco's acting ability, sir.
I mean, that bank commercial
Pittsburgh.
That we saw, and oh man, I can't wait to see more Mighty Wings commercials between him and Colin Kaepernick.
Oh yeah,
but if you remember too, though, Flacco said a few things. I don't remember exactly what it was, but you know, he called himself elite. Made a few, made a few comments about the money he's making and this and that. So it's not like this guy is actually, totally vanilla ice cream either.
Sure.
But
Flacco's kind of an idiot.
But it just seems to me that as football becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, one of the cool things about football that I used to like were that you had quarterbacks with personality. You had your Jim McMahons, your Brett Favres, guys like that. Joe Namath. Yeah. And now, no, we can't have that. That's got to be an automaton that thinks something about football. I think it's nonsense.
Well, who was it? Who was it? I can't remember the deluge of crappy Cardinals quarterbacks in the last few years. But one of them, a couple of years ago, during a blowout against the Niners.
Derek Anderson.
Derek Anderson, yeah, he was smiling.
Laughing.
He was laughing on the sidelines. Like, what's he laughing about? His team's getting blown out. It's like, well, maybe that's why he's laughing. His team's gotten blown out, and he doesn't feel the need to be super serious quarterback guy at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting blown out. What do you want to do at that point? Sulk?
It was funny.
Yeah, exactly.
And who knows what that's the thing. I mean, I don't know. Look, I'm not a big Johnny Manziel fan. I don't know if he's going to be good or not. He does have some mechanics issues. I guess his throwing motion's a little bit too sidearm for people's likings. He's short. So who knows? But if you're going to try to trash him, and like you said, Zach, this happens every year to somebody in the draft where they come into it and everybody's like, this guy's an easy top 5 pick, and then all of a sudden, the more you learn, the more they start driving him down. But if you're not going to draft him, use legitimate reasons. Say, hey, look, I don't like short quarterbacks. I don't think he works in our system, whatever. But to do this is just kind of silly to me.
He was in a commercial, therefore he'll be a terrible football player.
Right.
Yeah. He's not focused on the field.
Well,
all right, fine.
And I guess there was some issues about him, the whole thing with the Manning camp last year and all that. But whatever, it's just silly to me that
I think I followed Johnny Manziel pretty closely because I like his personality. My mom
Johnny
went to Texas
football.
A&M, and I was happy that Texas A&M was relevant and had a top player, Heisman Trophy winner. I think I attribute a lot of it to him just being a young college kid with everything at his disposal.
Mm-hmm. Well,
he was having fun.
One of the things too is that he's quote unquote entitled. That was another knock on him. But
tell me a college quarterback that isn't.
Well, exactly.
At a Division I powerhouse school.
This one just
college quarterback that isn't.
This one just happens to have
Tim Tebow. Maybe
this one just happens to have his own money. He came into it rich because his family's got money.
Yeah,
but
I think A.J. McCarron's family's well off too.
Yeah, but A.J. McCarron does everything the right way.
Of course. Yeah, right.
But
he doesn't appear in those commercials with Ron James.
No, he just happens to date a person that appears in all those commercials.
But here's my question, and Zach, you follow the guy, so you tell me: does he want to win?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, that's the thing? Does he care about winning? Can he play the position? That's all that should matter.
I think if you watch any of those games where A&M's in it late, and he's just trying everything he can, chugging it down the field, running all over the place.
Right.
I don't think he's sitting there thinking, this will be great for my Heisman Trophy resume. Or, this is going to make me number one pick in the draft. No.
He wants to win.
He wants to go out there and win the football game.
Well, I understand that there are character issues that you do need to look at, say an Aaron Hernandez type, but these are not the kind of personality issues you need to get caught up in.
Johnny Manziel isn't going to go on a killing spree.
We hope not, anyway.
He's not likely.
Not shown any indication that he would do such a thing, but that's what kills me about this. If Aaron Hernandez comes along, they knew he had problems, but he was the right size and he played well, and I guess he probably said all the right things, so he gets drafted, and look where he is now. But in my book with Manziel, if he wants to win and he cares about winning and he can play the position, I don't care if he likes to be in TV commercials. He likes to go out and get drunk once in a while. God, one of the probably the only famous quarterback in Detroit Lions history was Bobby Lane from way back in the 50s, and he was notorious for being hungover, getting in at 5 in the morning and going out that same Sunday and throwing for 500 yards. So what's the big deal? I don't know, but
and again, I want to reiterate this mentality among the NFL leadership, I guess, for lack of a better term. Oh, he's not completely dedicated to the game of football. Again. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'd want the quarterback on my team to be a bit balanced mentally and not obsess over football. Because, as a football player, and this goes with anything, if you obsess over something too much, you kind of start to outsmart yourself and you start doing yourself more harm than good. So it's a good thing to not be the guy who's always the first in the door and to not be the guy who's always thinking about the game 24/7.
I'm sure there are second and third string quarterbacks in the NFL that are the first ones in and the last ones to leave. I'm sure that they do everything right. They only drink milkshakes. They go home at 9 o'clock every night, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And all that's great, but if you don't have the talent, what the hell difference does it make?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm in a good mood to talk about hockey.
Let's talk some hockey. Because your team won tonight, and so did mine. Big win for my Blue Jackets tonight.
I'd say it was a big win for the Maple Leafs. If they had played like this the past 9 games, then then maybe we would be talking about something. But I have a feeling this was too little, too late. The Maple Leafs beat the Bruins in OT, so at least I'll have that.
And the Blue Jackets beat the Flyers tonight, which is an added bonus for me. It was a 4-point swing, and they beat the Flyers, and that's good enough for me. And Zach is desperately wanting to win the President's Trophy.
I don't know if desperately. I would like it a lot.
You want the banner?
I want a banner.
You want the reward excellence.
Well, as a fan of a team that's relatively young, I think how many banners do we have? 2 division banners, 2 Western Conference banners, and the Stanley Cup banner. So that's what? 5? 5. And then but
that's pretty darn respectable for a young.
It's respectable, but even like a team like San Jose, who was only a year older than the Ducks, they have a crap ton of banners, and obviously they didn't win anything with them, but they have their fair share of division banners and a couple President's Trophy banners to their name, and it's just something I want.
Yeah,
I want another one for the collection. That's all.
Yeah, but they're the Sharks. They are the greatest thing ever.
Screw them.
Obviously the atmosphere of a Sharks game is unlike anything you've ever felt, Mike.
I went to a Leafs game, and that was like original 6 versus original 6, a lot of history, but I doubt it could compare to the atmosphere at a Sharks Predators game.
I'm sorry, I forget the Sharks even exist. I'm sorry, I do.
A lot of people do.
Maybe it's.
I don't because I hate the guts, but
yeah. Well, you're in a division with them, right? Or at least a conference, huh? What?
Zach?
We are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
So anyway, we had a little technical issue there, but as I was saying, I forget the Sharks even exist. I was asking Zach, they're in your division, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're in our division. They're only a year older than us. It's a NorCal SoCal thing, and I also the color teal makes me ill.
Is it that much different from eggplant, though?
Yes.
Okay.
Very different. How dare you? How dare you even suggest that, Mike? How dare you? I am offended. Never compare me to a shark. No. Disgusting.
I think I forget they exist. When I do remember they exist, I think that they have a dumb logo. I know a lot of people love it, but I don't.
I thought their old one was fun.
The original was very good in my opinion. The new one looks like an anime version.
Well, the original one was good. I agree that maybe it needed a little modernizing, but I don't like what they did with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little too. I mean, the old one looked a little too passive. Like he accidentally ran into a stick while swimming, not aggressively biting it. Just got caught in his mouth, which would probably account for all the choking they did over the years.
Ooh.
Splinters in the throat, man. Yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of those things, and the Ducks and Sharks have always kind of been in each other's throats. Like as much as the Ducks and Kings are rivals, that's more of a fan thing, and geographically speaking. But when it comes to on the ice, I'd say that the Ducks' chief rivals over the years have been the Sharks. And when I was a kid, even though my grandpa's not even from California, but he's from New York for God's sakes. But he decided that when I was young that he was going to indoctrinate me to hate the Sharks. So every time we play the Sharks, he's like, "You want to go to the game tonight?" I'll be like, "Well, who are they playing, Pop?" And it's the dirty, rotten, no good, stinking, we hate them forever Sharks. That's what we called them every time we played them. And so I dislike the San Jose Sharks very much.
Well, I don't even remember they exist.
Their fans are garbage. I hate their fans.
I know that Mike has told me that the Sharks fans have this sense of entitlement that I really don't understand why or how they would come up with that.
They think that they're the epitome of a success story when it comes to the Sun Belt.
Really?
And that they are an essential part of this league.
Really? Because last I checked, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that you guys have the Stanley Cup banner and they don't, right?
Yeah, we do. The Sharks do.
In fact,
Carolina does. Tampa Bay does.
Dallas,
yeah.
In fact, the Kings have a Stanley Cup too. So by my count, the Sharks are the only California team to not have a Stanley Cup.
That would be correct, Mike.
Yeah,
you would be correct in saying that.
Well,
yeah.
I guess there's more to
Also,
being.
I remember the Sharks were a number 1 seed, the President's Trophy winners, and those lowly Anaheim Ducks came in as an 8 seed and beat them in 6 games.
Yeah, but to be fair, pretty much every low seed in the Eastern Conference, in the Western Conference through the years has upset the Sharks. God.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't they have a history of early exits?
The Sharks have only been to 2 Western Conference Finals.
And lost them both.
They
right?
lost one to Vancouver and one to...
or maybe 3 then.
Yeah, it's 3. They lost to Chicago, Vancouver, and Calgary.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that one year that Edmonton made a surprise cup run. Edmonton eliminated the Sharks in the second round, I think.
Yeah, and then they went on to beat the Ducks in the Western Final.
I'm sure.
And I remember that because I was really excited. I'm like, oh, the Ducks are going to play the Sharks in the first playoff series, and it's going to be for the Stanley Cup. Well, we're surely going to win. And then we had to play Edmonton, and then we lost in 5 games. And they won on our home ice. And as soon as the final – I was at that game. And as soon as the final horn sung, I left because I didn't want to see somebody else win a trophy on my ice. Yeah.
But
it does suck to see that. I've seen it in the International Hockey League, and it's no fun.
I've also from Sharks fans, I've seen Sharks fans claim that they have like this deep rivalry with Detroit.
Well, to be fair, every team in the West claims they had a rivalry with Detroit.
But when I think rivalries in the West with Detroit, outside of what would have probably been the natural one with Chicago, the first team that comes to mind, probably more so than Chicago, is Colorado.
Right, right, because they had all those matchups in the '90s, and they were the teams that were winning Stanley Cups.
And you had Chris Osgood and Patrick Waugh beating each other up.
Yeah, the Ducks played the Red Wings. I think is it 5 or 6 times? I think it's 6 times in the playoffs over the years. And I mean, that's a lot considering the Ducks have only been around for 20 and only made the playoffs like 10 out of those 20 years. So it's. I mean, I think that the Ducks and Red Wings had a pretty decent rivalry, just based on ice play. But But then Chicago would say it, and San Jose had some playoff series with them, and I guess the Coyotes would say it because the fans flood the building, and the Coyotes fans don't like that. I mean, the Coyotes fans that there are.
I hate that. Who was I watching the other night? And it was the same exact thing, and it drives me nuts. I just hate that when the other team's fans come in. It drives me crazy.
Posh.
I mean, it was probably
Frizzle
one of the
frazzle
southern teams, and they were probably playing one of the northern teams. And
what, Posh Frizzle Frazzle?
No, I hear this complaint from Ottawa all the time. Oh, it's not fair when Leafs fans flood.
That's different. That's Ottawa, and I mean, you want to talk about being irrelevant, but and they're right. They're right in the middle of Leafs and Canadiens country, so they should expect it.
Yeah,
you can't pop up in the middle in that area in Canada. You really think that people that have been Canadiens or Leafs fans their whole lives are going to drop them for you? That's just insane.
Yeah,
I'm talking like in Columbus or even Anaheim for that matter, or I guess maybe Dallas, just places where it shouldn't be happening.
I mean, the thing is, it sucks, and I think we've talked about it before. It sucks, but it's just there's nothing you could do about it because these Eastern teams, they come like for Anaheim's case, these Eastern and Northern teams, they come in here and play one game, and they usually do it in a back-to-back against the Kings. So if you're a fan that lives in Pittsburgh and you see that the Ducks and Kings are, or the Penguins are going to go play the Ducks and Kings in February, and you don't want to be in Pittsburgh in February, so you say, hey, let's go do a weekend in Southern California and go watch the team play. So then you get those people to travel in for the 2 games and go to Disneyland or whatever in between. And then you have all the people that already moved out of the snow and ice and say, hey, our team's coming in for only 1 game this year. We got to go to that game. So as soon as the tickets are available way back in September, they buy that game.
I just want to interject really quick that we have a term for the people that moved away from the snow and ice.
Smart.
They're called the smart ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's mostly melted now.
But it's the nature of the beast. I hate it. I hate seeing it, and obviously I hate trying to defend it every time it happens. But it's just that's what it is. You can't do too much about it one way or the other.
I think you commented on it when it happened, Zach. But just for the sake of conversation, how badly did Leafs Nation invade the pond? Was it noticeable or was it manageable? Was it overbearing?
It wasn't overbearing, but there was a good amount.
Okay.
And I think the thing that also sucks is when you end up losing to those teams.
That's the worst.
Because if you're beating them, then you notice it, but it goes away pretty quick.
Right.
But when we lost the Maple Leafs, Ducks fans aren't the most combative. I wish we were a little bit more stand up for ourselves. And when these other teams' fans come in and they start chanting, all we do is just boo instead of starting our own chant to go against them. And it's like, no, say, let's go Ducks, not boo.
Go Leafs, go.
Boo. Because you can still hear it.
Yeah.
And it's like you're not trying to stand up for it. And then it just kind of happens.
I will I'll go ahead. I was going to say I've been to 2 games this year. I went to see the Flyers and the Red Wings, and both fan bases represented pretty well in Columbus. The game I was thinking of was when was Pittsburgh, when the Jackets played Pittsburgh, and wow, I mean they took over that place. Well, it was crazy. Now, granted, the Blue Jackets won the other 2 games, and they were winning. Even in the Pittsburgh game, when they were down 2-0, those fans were still just making the Blue Jackets fans look bad, and that aggravated me.
Well,
and I can
with
tell,
the Blue Jackets, they're a young team, in terms of overall years in the league,
right?
You're relatively close to Pittsburgh, so it's an easy road trip.
Yep.
And the Penguins are one of the biggest bandwagon teams in the whole league right now. So,
which is ridiculous to me.
Pittsburgh in general tends not the Pirates because but in terms of the Steelers and the Penguins, I mean I've noticed Steelers and Penguins fans in Southern Ontario.
Oh yeah.
From people who we're not far from Pittsburgh, I guess, but we're not close enough that it would be a natural thing to be.
Well, in fairness to the Pittsburgh Penguins fans, before the Blue Jackets came along, there were a lot of people that if they liked hockey, the Penguins were the closest team to them. So they, of course, went with the Penguins. A lot of people in Cleveland, Eastern Ohio became Penguins fans because they were successful. They won a couple of cups with Mario Lemieux.
I have it on good authority from certain Browns fans that you're supposed to hate everything Pittsburgh.
Yeah, well, that certain Browns fan's an idiot. But so that I understand that part of it, but I don't know. It's and like Zach said, you can't do anything about it. But I do agree with this. I wish the Blue Jackets fans would be more vocal in their opposition, but they just kind of sit back and take it, and that's just the way it's going to be, I guess. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I wish we stood up for ourselves a little bit more too. I think the only time the Ducks fans really kind of go at it against another team is the Kings and the Sharks when their fans come in, because we're kind of all in the same boat, and so it's not like when they come in and they start to chant, it's like, no, you're not supposed to be here. Get out of here. But then when like the Blackhawks fans, the Red Wings fans show up, you're like, yeah, well, this is just what happens. So you kind of just roll with it, I guess.
Well, since we're talking NHL and the playoffs and all that and games and everything, what are we looking at here so far? We know that Boston, Montreal, Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, they're in.
Yeah, the only teams
you only got 2 spots up for grabs in the West.
All the division spots have been clinched. Now they're just waiting for the wild cards in the West, which are most likely going to be Minnesota, Dallas. Phoenix is still tied with Dallas, but Dallas has 2 games at hand on Phoenix, and the Coyotes aren't playing their best hockey right now, so I could see them faltering and Dallas taking that final spot. In the East, it was a lot tighter, like last week when everybody had 84 points or whatever it was, but the Devils are falling back, the Capitals are falling back, the Maple Leafs are trying to somehow stay relevant in it, but I mean that 8-game skid was just...
That was brutal.
That was, and of course, as they were going on an 8-game skid, the Red Wings were going on like a 9-game tear.
Because we can't have it the other way. No. The Maple Leafs can't be the team that go on the 8-game. It has to be the goddamn Red Wings who just grow these talented Swedish players like in a vat somewhere. God damn it!
Oh,
I just want to make the playoffs.
That, friends, is the sound of a Maple Leaf fan.
Yes.
Oh, my.
That was one of the finer moments on the show, I think.
I just want to make the playoffs.
But,
I mean, I just want the President's Trophy, but Mike's just over here wanting to make the playoffs. So,
Well, Mike, let me see here. Let's see. We've got 38, 32, and 8. So what's that? 60, 78. You got 4 games left?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any games in hand on anybody that's in front of you?
I don't think so.
No. Well, I'm trying to come up with something here for you.
I don't think they're not mathematically eliminated. Like, they could still make it, but it's just unlikely.
Yeah, let's see. They have, okay, here's the thing. They have 84 points, but they have 78 games played.
Oh, the games played are right in front of me. Jesus, I was looking right at them. Okay.
Right. So they're a point behind Columbus, 2 points behind Detroit. But Detroit and Columbus both have 2 games at hand.
Yep.
And Washington, who's only 3 points behind them, also has 2 games at hand. And even New Jersey, who's 4 points behind them, has 2 games at hand. So in theory, Toronto could be much farther down if those games at hand get won.
Mm-hmm.
But Washington and New Jersey actually play each other tomorrow, I think. So that'll
maybe the planes will crash or something. And then
I mean, you know what, Mike? I don't want to say this because it was funny. I was listening to a hockey podcast, and they were talking about, what's wrong with the Maple Leafs? And they were going over everything that was happening. And all I could say in my head was just like, well, it's Randy Carlyle hockey for you. I hope you're enjoying it, because that's how it's. Because he needs to be able to change his style. He's not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
What you're seeing now, line changes, dumping it in the zone, all that sort of fun stuff. No pressure. Randy Carlyle hockey. That's how he plays.
Yeah, I'm starting to get that.
It won the Ducks a cup because the Ducks had a very talented roster at the time.
I'm starting to sense the patterns here that I'm not happy about.
Yeah.
In a case like that, when a guy wins a cup, maybe he's not. Excuse me. Maybe he's not the greatest coach in the world or whatever. How long does it take before? I mean, how much?
John Tortorella's still employed.
Okay, well that answers my question because I mean I'm sure you guys remember Mike Keenan, right?
Oh, he stuck around for long after his Best Buy date.
He's coaching in Russia now.
Yeah, but I was just wondering like how far that carries before people finally go, you know what?
Mike Keenan was getting was getting hired in the NHL in the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
So you could stretch it for a solid decade.
Well,
if you have to.
And I mean, Carlisle probably going to get fired from the Leafs if they don't make the playoffs. I could see him like sticking around, and then if they start off slow next year, that he gets fired early next year. But he's going to get a job after this one. It's not going to be in a top job. You might have to go to, what's a team that might need a coach soon?
Florida?
I don't know if he goes to Florida.
I'm just throwing out bad teams.
Go to Florida.
I would.
I can see him going to like
Buffalo.
No, because what's his name? Ted Nolan just got an extension there. I could see him going to maybe the Islanders or maybe Carolina. Looking out west, maybe he would go to. You know what? I could see Randy Carlisle in Winnipeg if Paul Maurice doesn't work out.
Paul Maurice
maybe
has
he
done a
takes
decent
over.
Job.
Maybe he takes over for Tortorella when he gets fired in Vancouver.
Oh, that's going to be glorious when that happens.
Yeah, but I think Tortorella's mojo is wearing off. That's for sure.
I think he could have. I think he could have stretched it out a bit longer. It's been a decade too. So yeah, he's nearing the end of his run. But I think he could have stretched it out just a bit longer if he hadn't just imploded in his Vancouver run. Like that line brawl and and trying to storm the Flames locker room did a lot to damage that stock.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So yeah, he probably could have gotten a couple more years out of maybe 5 more years, out of that one cup win, but because of what happened, I see Tortorella getting fired, and I honestly don't see another team picking him up, at least not for a head coaching job.
The thing that's stupid, like, Vancouver signed him to a 5-year contract.
It's the Canucks. I don't know what the hell they're doing.
Maybe, you should fire him by all accounts, but that would mean if they would hire a coach after that, they'd be paying 3 head coaches.
Well, he's going to have the argument. He's going to have the argument, too, that a coach can use once, and that is if I had my kind of players here, I could win, which I think we talked about it way back at the beginning of the season, that Vancouver is not really the place to play John Tortorella hockey, right? They don't have the roster that's built for it, so that can be. So he might buy a year out of that.
He's tried to build that roster low, and it's gone horribly.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you're trying to mix the two things.
Yeah, he's trying to take he started with a very fast and finesse based Canucks team. And then he tried to tinker with it and mesh that in with the hard-nosed John Tortorella team. Yeah. And, well, we all see what happened. So, honestly, if you fire him and then hire someone else, you're paying 3 head coaches, and obviously you don't want that. But I don't know how much longer you can keep this thing up with him. I mean, it's not going to get better.
No.
So,
maybe it will. Who knows? Maybe they get an offseason under their belt. They fix everything how they want to fix it, and maybe Vancouver is fighting for a playoff spot again next year. Because really, I'm looking at it. They're 6 points out of the spot
not with Eddie Lack in that.
That's true.
What about
there's some goaltenders on the market? Maybe they'll overpay for Jonas Hiller or something.
Mm-hmm. This is what I wanted to ask you guys. Okay, so we've got in the East, you've got Boston and Pittsburgh. Clearly the top 2 teams. So out of this bunch, and we'll just say that the standings end the way they are today.
They probably will. I would agree that that's how it's going to finish.
Who do we like outside of Boston and Pittsburgh? Who is a team that can come in and maybe get out of that conference?
Detroit.
In the East?
Not Detroit. Come on.
The East, only because Detroit's Detroit.
Yeah.
And
they can Cardinal.
Fantastic coach. And when they get in the playoffs, when it's a one-on-one matchup like that, who knows what happens.
They can cardinal their way to at least.
You really think so?
The Red Wings can cardinal their way with the best of them. Oh, for sure.
I don't know, man. I've watched these guys a lot this year. They don't. I mean, Maybe the Blue Jackets have their number, and maybe that's all it is. But I've seen the Blue Jackets just dominate these guys a couple times.
No, we hear you, but this is the Red Wings. They just don't die when they're supposed to.
Oh, I saw it last year. Red Wings were a 7 seed. They knock off the Ducks, and they knocked off somebody in the next round, didn't they? No, they lost to.
Yeah, they had that collapse against Chicago. They were up like 3 games to 1.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah,
that's right.
I remember
they were up big on Chicago. They looked like they were going to win 2 straight series, and then they were going to play the Kings in the next round and probably beat them and go on to they could have gone to the Stanley Cup last year, but God forbid they
thankfully that didn't happen.
Let's see. Look at the other teams.
Well, like Montreal, Tampa Bay. I don't think the Rangers have enough.
I don't think the Rangers have enough. I don't think the Flyers have enough.
Yeah, and Detroit.
Maybe Tampa.
I think Tampa. If Ben Bishop gets hot, for sure. Same with Montreal. I think Carey Price could lead them to a few, but
Carey Price has been on fire recently.
Yeah, I'm not sold on Montreal as a whole. I don't exactly like Michel Therrien, their coach.
Oh, he's no he's no fun.
I think of the other teams that are into the division spots, I'd probably say Tampa.
Michel Therrien, his biggest attribute as the Canadiens coach is that he's French. I mean, that's the big thing. Because,
that's so stupid that's a...
God forbid the Montreal Canadiens have a coach who isn't French. I mean, obviously the world would just implode if that happened.
And that's seriously the only reason they hired him. Because he was a half-decent coach that spoke French.
Yeah, exactly.
They could have hired, the next great... See, the thing that really strikes me as odd about that, Scotty Bowman won a cup there.
I mean,
he wasn't exactly a francophone.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you look through Canadians' history, these great teams that the fan base celebrates, they were more often than not built by Anglophones, built and coached by Anglophones. I mean, I understand the French Canadians are the Montreal Canadiens are a French Canadian cultural institution. I understand that. And I understand why people would want a French coach, but at the same time, and I understand that because of the language issue, that it's probably
they need to speak to the media and stuff, so they need to know a little French.
Yeah, you need you want a head coach who can speak French, but having them actually be French, making that be a requirement for the job, that's just ridiculous. The Montreal Canadiens, I mean, they're the Yankees of the NHL. They have a great pedigree, and they're shooting themselves in the foot. They're failing to live up to that pedigree because they insist on this language thing, and it's just absolute nonsense. And if they if they pass on a suitable English candidate because he's not ethnically Quebecois, then they deserve the early playoff round exit that they deserve. So, that's just
the really sad thing is
that's just me ranting because Quebec elections are coming up. So
the really sad thing, looking at the playoff picture, the Montreal Canadiens are going to be the only Canadian playoff team, most likely.
Yeah,
unless Toronto makes a leap.
Oh, yeah, they sure are, aren't they? Vancouver's not getting there. Winnipeg's not. Edmonton's certainly not. Calgary. Wow.
Calgary.
Hey, I just talk like a good Canadian, man. What can I say?
Western Canadian, maybe.
I work out on the farm and milk the cows.
That's
when
right.
I gotta bring Bessie down to Calgary so I can get her chopped up, right? Get her sent to the farm.
Not in God's country, Ontario.
Well, let me.
No, I can't even bring her to Saskatoon. It's just too far away.
Saskatoon. Don't be silly, Zach. Nobody goes to Saskatoon.
I love the city name Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Yep.
That's just fun to say.
It's awesome.
Yep. Yes, it is. Saskatchewan is a great place. Saskatchewan is the great, undiscovered gem of Canada.
I mean, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan?
I knew there was a moose in here somewhere. That was what I was trying to think of, Moose Jaw.
Yeah.
Medicine Hat.
Medicine Hat. It's like a perfect rectangle on the map. It's
Yellowknife.
Yellowknife. They got the Riders. The Riders are everyone's favorite second. They're everyone's second favorite CFL team.
Behind,
so everyone just loves Saskatchewan. And it's very, and they've. I was about to say they have an interesting flag because it's like they just stuck a rose on it. It's hard to describe. Just like look up Saskatchewan's flag, and it just looks so slapped together that you just can't help but find it endearing.
They got more important things to worry about out there than a good flag.
Yeah, like grain.
And minerals.
Fields.
Anyway.
Minerals. The entire province is run by by grain and like mineral extraction. That's pretty much Saskatchewan.
Well, somebody's got to do it, right?
I'm not hating on Saskatchewan. Like I said, you're Canada's undiscovered gem, Saskatchewan. I love you. I really do. I have nothing but good things to say about you.
By the way, Greg,
yes.
Do you know who the mascot of the University of Calgary is?
Why, no, I do not.
It's the dinosaurs.
They're the dinosaurs, yeah.
Yeah.
See, I don't like that. I'm not big on the dinosaur thing.
They're the Calgary Dinos.
No, they could do better than that. They could be the gem miners or something.
Alberta's got a huge history of dinosaur fossil discoveries.
Oh,
so
okay. Well, I didn't know that. Okay.
I mean, the University of Calgary's got a huge paleontology department, so that's why it is what it is.
I was not aware of that. Okay, then I stand corrected.
And their logo is just fantastic. It's like a T-Rex.
Oh yeah,
cool.
It's good stuff.
What else about Saskatchewan? I had another.
GoDinos.com. It has the.
Oh yeah, Saskatchewan. The best thing about Saskatchewan, you know the name of the party that is in control of the government of Saskatchewan?
No.
It's the Saskatchewan Party.
Well, you got to like that, right?
The government of Saskatchewan is run by the Saskatchewan Party.
Well, I mean, that's the same in Quebec. It's Parti Québécois.
But the difference is that the Saskatchewan Party doesn't want to separate. They're just really keen on being from Saskatchewan.
That's cool. I like
really
that.
Proud of farming and.
I like that. That is awesome.
Rough Riders.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. It's like the Parti Québécois, like they want to separate, so that's a huge, complicated issue. But in Saskatchewan, they don't want to separate. They're just really proud of being Saskatchewanian.
That's cool.
Saskatchewanian.
That is really, really cool. I like that.
We're the Saskatchewan Party.
Beautiful.
What do you stand for? What do you guys stand? What's your platform? Oh, we're just happy to be from Saskatchewan.
We stand for Saskatchewan. That's what we stand for. That's what we're about.
Man.
We can all learn a lesson out of that.
Also, one of my best history professors from university was from Saskatchewan. So,
cool.
So
that ends Mike's glowing review of Saskatchewan and all things Saskatchewan related.
I'd like to take a train through Saskatchewan one time.
You'd have to go north-south because you'd probably have to go north-south. You'd see more.
I don't want to see anything. I just want to go through it.
Just to say that you've done it.
I don't want to stop.
You don't want to stop.
I see.
Oh,
see, you got no sense of adventure, Zach. I would love to go to Saskatchewan. I'd like to ride my motorcycle up there and just say that I've ridden my motorcycle in Saskatchewan.
Ride right up to Moose Jaw.
There you go.
Yeah,
I would love to.
Go from Moose Jaw to Regina.
Oh, Regina! You can't say the word Regina in a high school history class and not have the entire class just like start giggling. It's impossible. It's like, it means Royal City.
Sure it does. Sure it does. Whatever they want to keep telling themselves.
Mine's out of the gutters, people. Mine's out of the gutters.
Do we want to talk any more NHL?
I do have one NBA thing I want to bring up briefly.
Okay, go ahead.
Since signing Jason Collins, the Nets have gone on a bit of a winning streak. And have secured a playoff spot. So, as it turned out, having an openly gay player in the locker room did not distract the team and did not cause the league to fall apart. So,
Yay.
Good on Jason Collins.
Much to the dismay of all the idiots out there that were thinking that's exactly what was going to happen.
Oh, this guy. They just showed somebody in the crowd with they're showing the Sharks Kings game. On NBC Sports Network.
Please tell me ICS got on television.
No, but they had someone wearing a California Golden Seals jersey.
Cool, nice.
Fine by me.
Not bad.
As far as I'm concerned, the Sharks are the Golden Seals, so that's fine. That's cool.
I mean, we can stretch it that way.
Yeah. Okay.
If they wear some Golden Seals throwbacks one day, I'd be okay with it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely.
The 50th anniversary of the Oh, those first expansion teams is coming up.
Yeah, the 50. Who cares about that? Because it's the 100th anniversary for the Maple Leafs. Woo!
Isn't it also the 50th anniversary of No Cup?
Oh,
Ouch.
Ouch.
now I'm
any
sad.
other hockey stuff? Because I can't think of anything.
Go Jackets.
Go Ducks.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Zach's Tabs. Take it away, Zach.
Well, I mean, since we just finished with hockey, why don't we start again with hockey?
By all means.
Red Wings prospect, where's his name? Mitch Callahan.
Who's probably going to, be a 50-goal scorer anytime now because that's
in the
just how
playoffs.
things-
Probably. Well, he's currently playing for the Grand Rapids Griffins. And as is hockey tradition, he took a puck to the face. And so when you're a hockey player, a young hockey player with access to many avenues, and you just took a puck to the face and you're back in the locker room, what's the first thing you do?
Get your face stitched
put
up.
some ice on the face.
Oh, no. You put it on Twitter.
Ooh, awesome. Did he do it?
Oh, yeah. He put a picture of his bloody mouth on Twitter. So you can go ahead and look at that.
Oh, Red Wings.
Let me see.
A classless organization all around.
He was missing his two front teeth before, but now
He did take one to the mouth, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Woo! Split his lip. Like, look at that. It's got like a little bi-level thing going on his top lip. Wow.
Oh, God.
Mitch Callahan, you're a tough dude. He's a hockey player. That's not even tough. That's just...
And all he puts out the caption on Twitter is just, ouch.
Yeah. You think?
Yeah, probably rub some dirt on it and be right back out there. Because guess what, folks? He's a hockey player.
A hockey puck broke... And just real quick comment. A hockey puck broke Mitch Callahan's face. He kept playing. LeBron James went to the dentist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, LeBron James did get a pretty awesome mask out of it.
Oh, and this is another good one. This is why marijuana needs to be legal. I don't know why. And then this guy says, I don't know, I'm pretty high right now, and this is freaking me out. The Deadspin commentary is just the best. So,
Indeed. One of the better comment sections on the internet.
Well, Mitch Callahan, nice job.
Let's see. Next. ESPN was being absurd this week.
No.
Oh, what were they doing?
Well, they're discussing, obviously the draft is coming up, so they're discussing
24/7 coverage.
Well, they're discussing NFL draft prospects, namely one Jadeveon Clowney. So someone decided to take a picture of something that was going on to the rundown on ESPN, coming up on SportsCenter. They have the little thing on the left that tells you what topics are coming up.
Yep.
Well, they were going to talk about Clowney, and they were going to talk about whether he was good or not, but they weren't just going to talk about how good he was going to be. They were asking the question, Jadeveon Clowney, a Hall of Famer?
Oh, for God's sakes.
Oh, he's not even in the goddamn league yet.
But see, that's the thing. ESPN just... Wow. I mean, usually they're so reserved, and they never jump to conclusions like that. I'm really shocked that they would do this. A Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
What if he blows his knee out in the preseason and never plays it down in the NFL?
Well, we'll remember him forever.
You know what, though? Maybe they're right. Maybe we should just go ahead and vote him straight into the Hall of Fame, skip playing a career the whole bit. Wow. I wish that was surprising. I wish that was shocking from ESPN, but it's not.
Can we wait? Is it so much to ask that we just wait until he's maybe played 3 seasons before we start?
This is the age of instant gratification, and this is the age of everything happens quickly. You got to keep up. We don't worry about playing careers anymore. If the guy's a Hall of Famer, he's a Hall of Famer. Put him in. Simple as that. What's next,
right.
Zach?
Well, MLB released the jersey sales for the offseason.
Oh.
Based on sales from MLB.com/shop of Majestic jerseys since the 2013 World Series concluded. Now, I'm going to have you guys try and guess the top 10.
Okay.
Are these players or teams?
Teams.
Or teams. Player jersey or team jerseys?
Player.
Okay. The top 10. Number one. I'm going to say.
Want any hints?
Nope. I'm going to say Derek Jeter.
Derek Jeter would be your number 3.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. That seems too conservative.
Mike Trout?
No. I'll give you a hint. The top 2 are Red Sox.
Oh, Poppy's got to be number 1.
Ortiz,
David Ortiz is your number 1 jersey sale.
Mike Napoli, number 2?
Nope.
Oh, let me see. Number 2. Oh, God, Dustin Pedroia.
Dustin Pedroia is your number 2.
Okay.
Derek Jeter at 3. Number 4, a St. Louis Cardinal.
Quadruple Jesus.
Nope. Behind the plate.
Yadier Molina.
Yadier Molina.
Okay.
Number 5, a Los Angeles Dodger.
Yasiel Puig.
No, Puig comes in at number 11.
Okay, Clayton Kershaw.
Clayton Kershaw is your number 5.
Okay.
Also, you guys mentioned Mike Trout earlier.
Yeah.
Trout is number 14.
Okay.
Number 6, and I'm sure Greg will be happy to see this, a Pittsburgh Pirate.
Andrew McCutchen.
Andrew McCutchen is your number 7. Or number 6, sorry. Number 7, Bay Area.
Buster Posey.
Buster Posey. Number 8 plays in New York.
Okay.
Is a third baseman.
David Wright.
David Wright is
That's
correct.
a little surprising.
Yeah, well, it gets a little more surprising. Number 9 was in New York. Now is in the Pacific Northwest.
Robinson Cano.
Robinson Cano is your number 9.
Yankees jersey, though, right? Not Mariners. Or is
Well,
it
it
Mariners?
says Yankees/Mariners. So I'm not
okay.
sure.
Well, that could be because you had a whole host of people buying his Yankees jersey,
Right.
and then when he signed with Seattle, they went out and bought a Seattle jersey in Seattle. So I think we got to disqualify that one.
And number 10, I didn't think I would see this up here, but he's a Baltimore Oriole.
Chris Davis.
No.
Matt Wieters?
No. I think he's the third baseman.
Manny Machado?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That is
Number
surprising.
10.
That is very, very surprising.
The rest of your top 20, number 11 is Puig. 12 is Bryce Harper. 13
I'm surprised
Miguel,
Harper's not higher on that list.
Yeah, 13 Miguel Cabrera. 14 Mike Trout. Number 15 is Matt Harvey.
Yeah, I can see that. With the season he had last year, I can see that.
Number 16 Prince Fielder. Number 17 Adam Wainwright.
Wow, really?
Number 18 Koji Uehara. He was the reliever for the Red Sox.
Right, yeah.
He got a lot of play after the World Series. Number 19 Yu Darvish. And number 20, mostly probably just because he moved, Jacoby Ellsbury.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wainwright surprises me. I mean, I understand that he's a good pitcher and he plays for the Cardinals, but
You underestimate the best fans in baseball.
I guess I do. Well, Yadier Molina was what did you say he was, Zach?
He was 4.
Number 4, yeah. I really do underestimate the best fans in baseball.
I mean, they just see him out there working hard, and he just plays the game the right way.
He plays the game the right way. All Cardinals play the game the right way.
Exactly.
Let's see. Do they have the picture here? Yes, they do. Okay, so the University of Georgia.
Our favorites from last week.
Yes, not only do they have some interesting personnel policies, head football coach Mark Richt, they're on the recruiting trail trying to get some guys to join the team. Mm-hmm. So what other way to join the team than to send out custom-made sketches of you in a Georgia uniform.
Okay, let's see this.
Personally signed by Mark Richt.
Wow, are those some bad sketches?
Yeah.
Oh God.
They do.
And this is how they're trying to recruit.
High school jersey and half is the University of Georgia.
Dear Roquan Smith, I hope you like this. My daughter in the 3rd grade drew it. That's what it should say.
So my question to you is: if you were a stud high school football player looking for your secondary education, your higher learning, and you got mailed a sketch from Coach Mark Richt, would you immediately commit to Georgia or stay as far away from Georgia as possible?
I'd call the police because I'd be a little freaked out.
I'm staying far away because that's not only is it bad art, but it's really kind of weird.
Yeah, it's creepy.
I mean, what do you do with it? Do you frame it?
Well, I think
put
it's
it up on the mantle?
I think, like Mike said, it's probably evidence. So you hand it over to the police.
I'd keep it for the police need to dust for fingerprints.
Wow, that is screwed up.
I'd be afraid to throw it away because I know that night I'd hear a voice coming from the garbage can, and yeah,
that's just wow. Who drew these? Does it say? Please tell me Mark Richt didn't do this.
Let's see.
I kind of hope he did now. I kind of hope he did.
It doesn't say who sketched him.
I like this guy. Says, I feel it looks like me a little bit.
I guess, maybe.
I suppose, yeah. Wow.
Anyway, so 2 more things, and then we can move on.
Okay.
I'll do one more sports one and then one non-sports one, so we can transfer to our non-sports conversation.
Okay.
I talked about last week how I'm not able to hear Vin Scully, or maybe at least I did on the baseball show,
right?
Because of the new Dodgers channel,
right?
Mm-hmm. Well, fun fact: Vin Scully can't even hear Vin Scully.
Oh,
you're kidding?
Vin Scully is supposedly a DirecTV subscriber, and thus does not get the Dodger games
because they're blacked out in his market.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So and he doesn't go to many road games when they're outside of the division.
Right.
He doesn't go to any road games if they're outside the division. So when the Dodgers go on the road, unless Vin goes to a sports bar, Vin does not get to see Dodger baseball.
Vin doesn't seem like the kind of guy who makes it up to the sports bars very often these days.
Probably not.
Probably not.
And if he does go, he's there way early for the specials, and he's out of there well before anything starts happening.
Right. And so here's the issue. The channel so far is only available on Time Warner Cable because they own the channel. Mm-hmm. That leaves every other outfit out there, DirecTV, Dish, Fios, AT&T Universe, Charter Communications, Cox Communications, which I have, no Dodger baseball.
That's just stupid on Time Warner's part.
Right. I think it's like 70% of the LA market doesn't get the channel right now.
Why in the world would you do that? You're the number 2 market in the country. Why would you cut yourself off from 70% of that market? Because
they did the same thing with the Lakers last year, but people, guess what? They care more about the Lakers than they do the Dodgers. The Dodgers are big, but if people miss Laker games, even no matter how bad the team's going to be, people want to see their Laker basketball. Dodger games are like, there's 100 of them.
Yeah.
We'll wait a little bit. It's fine.
I know, but that's still you're costing yourself untold millions of dollars in advertising revenue, because I'm going to tell you something. Any big client that wants to advertise on Dodgers games is going to look at that and go, we're only getting 30% of the market. Forget it. I mean, it's stupid in a million different directions to not have that network on as many places as you can get it, regardless of how popular the Dodgers are or not.
When I first heard that we were going to be partnering up, I thought they were just going to go on to the Lakers station, that there was just going to be a new channel and that the Dodgers and Lakers were going to share it. No, I didn't think that the Dodgers were going to get their own separate channel. And so the Lakers are on their own channel. I think the Galaxy are also on the Laker channel. But the Dodgers get the Dodger channel. It's all Dodgers all the time, nothing else.
Wow.
So
that's just that's just weird. I mean, it's dumb.
Yeah,
it makes
very,
no sense.
Very dumb. The last thing, as we wait for Mike to come back, today, or was it today or yesterday? I guess it's happening today. David Letterman announced his retirement after 2015 from The Late Show.
I just saw this, as a matter of fact, and we were talking. I was on one of the websites you pointed us to, and they had a little sidebar over there that said that. Yes, so next year, that's it, huh?
Yep, and I think it's interesting. Just, a year after Leno leaves, Letterman's going to leave, and now you're going to have the Kings of Late Night are going to go from Jay Leno and David Letterman, pillars of the profession,
right,
to Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, and whoever replaces Letterman.
Wow,
who
would that be?
If I had to, I would say Conan, because Conan's TBS contract also expires next year.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Conan filled in or took over for Letterman on
Late Night.
On Late Night,
right?
And I could definitely see a world where he takes over for him on the Late Show.
That makes sense.
I could even see Letterman suggesting it. And the other names that are out there. Craig Ferguson does the Late Late Show, but he's good at that show. I don't know if he's good for the regular Late Show.
I'd love to see Conan come in and get the CBS slot myself.
Yeah.
That seems to be the leader right now, I would think. Mm-hmm. But
because the other guy, Kimmel idolized Letterman when he was a kid.
Yeah.
But Kimmel has a pretty good gig going for him at ABC.
Well, yeah, and plus now, with his show established the way it is, instead of moving to take over another show, keep that one, because all of a sudden I think Kimmel's got to be the top guy after this, right?
Yeah, mm-hmm. Fallon's actually been getting pretty good ratings.
Yeah.
And I think he's been doing okay.
But
he's just Jimmy Fallon. I can't get over the fact that he's Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I know.
I think Kimmel does a really good job, too.
CBS's wing is Neil Patrick Harris, because he hosts the Emmys and the Tonys for them.
Boy, you talk about a great segue.
But
speaking of our next topic, but
right. But I don't think. I think
he's an actor.
He's not a talk show type.
Yeah, he's not going to leave acting. I mean, especially
that would be a huge step down for him.
Yeah, he's going to be really marketable after coming off How I Met Your Mother, and he's an actor. I mean, that's what he does. I can't imagine him chucking all that for a talk show to do.
And he also really likes Broadway.
Right, exactly. He's made all the money he's ever going to need off of How I Met Your Mother. He likes Broadway.
He's going to get the royalty checks from that forever.
Forever, yeah. So I don't see that. I think Conan's got to be the number one guy. Going back to Craig Ferguson.
Somebody also suggested Stephen Colbert, but I don't think he's a.
No, he's not going to leave the Colbert Report.
Because he's a character.
Yeah, and not only that, but he's more niched into his show than Craig Ferguson is. Right. I mean, I like Craig Ferguson a lot, but I think you're right, Zach. He's the guy that he works on his show. But if you move him to 11:30, they're going to try to broaden his appeal and all that, and I think in the process ruin him. Conan O'Brien's got to be the guy. I think that's the obvious answer at this point.
Because, like I said, his contract expires, and I mean he filled in for David Letterman once before. I wouldn't be surprised if Letterman asked him like, "Hey, I know your contract's expiring. Do you want this show?" And I'll tell them to choose you. You're not going to get screwed over like you were at NBC.
No,
because I don't think Letterman's not going to come back and Letterman hates Leno.
Yeah,
and so Letterman's not going to pull a Leno. He's not going to do that.
No, he wouldn't.
I don't think Conan would be intimidated by Craig Ferguson.
No, I think Conan, he would actually be able to go there. The show would be his, and he could actually sit down, relax, and do his show, and not have to worry about any of that stuff.
Yeah, and I can see Conan wanting to move back to New York too.
Yeah, and back onto a bigger network. So Conan's got to be the leader in the clubhouse, I think, at this point. So is that it for Zach's tabs?
Yes.
All right.
I mean, I have another tab about what we're going to talk about right now, but...
Well, let's hold that thought for a second. Like I said, the Neil Patrick Harris thing was a perfect segue to what we're going to talk about next. Okay, so... Like I said, the Neil Patrick Harris thing was the perfect segue into the How I Met Your Mother finale. Clearly, you two don't know what the hell you're talking about, but I'm going to let you two state your cases. Go ahead.
Okay, first, again, if you, for some reason, haven't watched the finale yet, spoiler alert. You can shut off the podcast now.
Yep.
You know what? No. I'm going to say on basically a geek show, we have a policy of disrespecting the spoiler tradition. We just talk about whatever. Carrying that over to Bass. We're talking about How I Met Your Mother. We're going to talk about it. So at this point, if you haven't turned it off, it's your own damn fault.
Okay. So here's the thing, Greg. I know you just started watching the show on Netflix and you really like it and you've seen the finale and it doesn't ruin it for you.
Before we get started, I would just like to say too that I'm surprised that I like it because normally this is not a type of show I would watch. It's a sitcom. It's a network sitcom. There are a few of them that I've enjoyed over the years. Of course, you've had Seinfeld, but I'm more of a Larry Sanders show, Entourage, pay network type sitcom guy. So I'm really surprised at how much I enjoy this show. But go ahead.
Right, and network sitcoms come and go with me. How I Met Your Mother, I caught it a lot when it was on TV, but when I really started loving it was in reruns when they started to kind of get towards my age, and I started to relate to the stories a little bit more. Kind of like I liked Friends when I was a kid. But now that I watch Friends now when it's in reruns all the time, I'm like, oh, my God, show.
Plus, you get to watch it every day. You don't have to wait a week in between episodes, which I think is really – How I Met Your Mother, it would have been even better had they done it like House of Cards does with Netflix so you could binge watch it. But anyway,
and it's on Netflix, so you can do that. But
exactly.
Here's the thing. So you go through the show for this total of 9 seasons. Mm-hmm. And the last 5 minutes of the show, of the finale, undermines the entire 9 seasons that you spent.
I will say that I watched the first 5 seasons of How You Met My Mother. I loved the show at first. The first 3 seasons, in my opinion, I'm not going to say they're in Seinfeld's league. Seinfeld's kind of on another plane for me.
Right, I agree with that.
But I will say that the first 3 seasons of How I Met Your Mother were very good, very funny. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Seasons 4 and 5, perhaps maybe a step down, but you know what? I still enjoyed watching it, still had a good time. I stopped watching around the 5th season because it seemed like it should be getting to the point where we wrapped things up.
Yes.
The whole kind of by the very nature of the show, it's a show that has kind of a time limit. It can't be one of these that go on forever. I figured around season 5 is when they should probably just introduce the mother. It didn't happen, so I stopped watching. I hadn't watched from season 5 to the finale because I kind of felt, you know what? They're just kind of dragging their feet. They're milking it for all it's worth. I'll just tune in for the end, and I did that.
And that's why the show was different too, because unlike other sitcoms where like Seinfeld could just go on in perpetuity. There's no
In theory, it could. In theory, it could just keep going.
Right. How I Met Your Mother had an end game. And so while we enjoy the stories and the journey and all the fun escapades of everybody, you knew eventually that we were going to have to get to the point. And once we finally got to the point, we all hated it.
Yeah. To me...
Because, fine. He meets the mother, and I'd be fine. I mean, they throw the death wrench in there where the mother dies. I would have been okay with that if that was just... the only reason I would have been okay with it, because eventually you have to realize, like, and even the kids asking in a little pre-tape thing that they taped 7 years ago,
Yeah.
Well, what's the point of telling the story?
Yeah.
Well, if the mother died and maybe he was reciting to, this is how I met your mother, this is why I love your mother, I would have been able to work with that. It's not my preferred thing. I'd rather he just meets the mother and they live happily ever after. Mm-hmm. But okay, the mother dies, and this is why I'm telling you the story. But then for the kids today, no, you're saying this so you can go get Aunt Robin, and then he goes and gets Robin. The reason that pisses off people that watch the show for as long as we did is because they did the will they won't they thing with Ted and Robin at least 5 times.
Exactly.
And even they did it in the second to last episode of the whole thing. Like, you say you didn't watch it, but when Robin's about to get married,
I saw that one.
Ted finally gives her the locket that she buried,
right?
That he was looking for,
and he tells her,
and she was like, maybe I'm supposed to end up with you.
And he says,
and when she said that, I said to myself, oh fuck no, you're not doing this. You're not doing this again. We are not going through this garbage.
Okay,
and then they dismissed that pretty quickly. And it's like, okay, they're officially done with that. They're never going to do it.
Except they weren't,
and they did it, and it just. The show wasn't about meeting your mother. The show was about eventually getting with your Aunt Robin.
Well, okay, let me step in for a second here. Now, everything you've said is a perfectly valid argument. I have nothing. I can't disagree with any of that. My point all along has been simply this. If you watch the show specifically and you invested your time in it specifically to get when he met the mother, you missed the entire point of the whole show. It was never about that. It's never been about that. It's been about the journey. It's been about the storytelling. It's been about all that. Right. It was an unusual premise for a sitcom, but I think that on the list of things that were important to that show, meeting the mother was about 5th.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
And I said that a little bit, where I enjoy the stories. The jokes are all fun. But the problem is when you present yourself like that, you have an end game. So we all enjoy the story. I'm still, whenever the show comes on, like if the show's on in syndication, I'm going to sit down and watch it because I still like the show. I'll watch the episodes. But the finale, as a finale, it sucked.
Oh, I don't think it was.
Whenever the Friends finale comes on, and it does come on now, I sit there and I watch it and I get caught up because it was a poignant way, because they all walk out, they put the keys, because they all lived in that apartment at one point or another in Friends. And when they finish the show, they all walk out, they put their apartment key, because each one of them has one. And they put it on the thing and then they fade out from black. Perfect. That's how that show's supposed to end. But this is like you're supposed to meet the mother, and it's supposed to be great because Ted was looking for the love of his life. And then he loses it and gets the quote-unquote love of his life that we were told that he wasn't ever going to get, like 5 times.
I've got a couple. I got a couple things to say. The will they won't they thing pisses me off because, quite frank,
they just use it as a way to extend the show.
It's not only does it extend the show, but and this is going to seem silly because it's television, but it strikes me as terribly poor character development. Because just look around at the people in your life. We all have our tight-knit group of friends. And that's fine. But, the girl that we were interested in or maybe had some feelings for, say, 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, you know, if it doesn't work out 5 years ago, you know, what do? You pick yourself up off the ground, you get over it, and you go out and you meet someone new. That's how life works.
And Ted did that several times.
And Ted did that several times, but he kept relapsing, and that's what really kind of pissed me off, because it's like, if I'm trying to look at this show, if I'm trying to look at the character of Ted, he's just this kind of immature, petulant guy who just can't get over that one girl who he had a thing with that one time, and he keeps going back to her, and it infuriates me as a viewer, because if I'm watching the show over a number of seasons, isn't the point to show me these characters growing and evolving and maturing? And the whole keep going back to Robin thing, it just doesn't – it strikes me as if the character's growth is being held back either by the writers of the show, or maybe just the character is inherently flawed in that way, and that just makes him unlikable to me. But that angered me. Another thing that pissed me off, and it comes back to what Zach said. This has an end game. You know, from day one of the series, from the first episode, they said this is about how Ted meets his future wife.
And goes on to never talk about her until season 8.
Yeah, but that's why I think the show should have wrapped up around season 5.
I agree with that.
But the way that all of that works, it's like you tell me, okay, this is a show about how he meets his wife, and I understand what you're saying, Greg, when you say it's not, the mother isn't the point of the show, and I'd agree with that sentiment to a point, because I believe a big part of it is the journey, but I don't think that the mother is entirely discounted from that. It's a little bit of both. I mean, it's the journey of how he got to be with the mother.
Right, so you're not supposed to know who the mother is or be introduced to her until the end.
Yeah, and so, I mean, it's going to go back to one of my favorite punching bags on basically a geek show, but okay. The Iron Man film trilogy. Okay. Follow me here, because this is going to be a windy journey, but I'm going to get you there. Unlike the show, which didn't get us to the final destination. Okay, Iron Man 1 comes out. The villain's the Ironmonger, but they drop hints that the Mandarin is behind the scenes for the Ten Rings terrorist organization. Yeah. Iron Man 2 doesn't talk about anything. Instead, we get Whiplash, and who gives a fuck about Whiplash? No one cares about Whiplash.
Oh,
But Iron Man 3 comes out, and they introduce the Mandarin, and you're like, oh, man, they've been building this up. There's a 5-year gap between Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 3, and you're like, oh, 5 years, they're building up this epic confrontation between these two mortal enemies for 5 years. This is the end game. This is what it's all coming down to. And then it doesn't happen, and I left Iron Man 3 going, you've been busting my balls for 5 years for this? And that's the same kind of feeling I had of How I Met Your Mother. You know, they tell me that this is the central element. This is the central element that I bought into when I started watching the show. And yeah, the journey was funny. The stories along the way that had nothing to do with how he met his wife are funny. The characters are funny. I agree with all of that. But just like I can't watch Iron Man 1 today without kind of rolling my eyes at the blown opportunity and the blown endgame, I kind of can't watch the first couple of seasons of How I Met Your Mother. Television I legitimately enjoy, because I know that the end game just completely invalidates all of it.
If I turn on the episodes and it's one of those episodes where Ted and Robin have another one of their talks, I'm gonna turn it off, because I'm gonna know it's like this means nothing.
Well, see,
because eventually they're gonna get there.
That's where I can stay on the train with you up to this point. I understand. I agree that, first off, I think that the ending was a total cheat. That you don't get to do that. I agree. I never said the finale was good. I said it was okay. I don't like the way it ended, but my point all along has been, you shouldn't let how they botched the ending detract from your enjoyment of the show up to that point. You know, that's all I'm saying.
I'm still going to enjoy the show. But whenever someone asks me about How You Met Your Mother, I'll be like, yeah, the show was great. The finale sucked, but the show overall was great. And to the finale itself too, I liked for the most part, everything up until those last 5 minutes, because it was very real life. Mm-hmm. It was like these things happen.
Yep.
And even at first when they made Barney and Robin get divorced 15 minutes into the season finale,
which
when you would spend the entire season at their wedding weekend
telling us how perfect they are for each other.
Well, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, but see, here's the thing too. I thought having them divorced, like, okay, I could see them divorcing. They look like a divorce type couple,
right?
Yeah, and I bought that, and I bought like all them growing apart and having kids and moving here and moving to the suburbs, doing all that. It's very real life, and even with the mother dying, it's like, well, that happens. It's real life.
They should have never gotten together in the first place, if you ask me. It was.
It's a sitcom trope when you have an even number of guys and girls on the show.
Yeah.
Which is why Seinfeld was awesome, by the way. They always resisted the urge to hook Elaine up with any of the main characters. And
that's my thing. They did a lot of things that were very true to life, and I liked that about it. But one of the things, at least in my group of friends, we don't pass women around. You know, like if one of my buddies, like say from the band I've been in for 35 years, if my girlfriend and I broke up tomorrow, he doesn't like start dating her a year later. Yeah. That's something I don't like. But I mean, every criticism you have is fair. I guess I probably overstated my point. I just don't let the ending detract from my enjoyment of the show. But I will say this: I don't like how Barney became a guy that was capable of marrying someone, and then 5 minutes later, he's right back to old Barney again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about with lack of character growth. It's like,
but he did grow, and then they just took it. No, sorry, no, he didn't.
Well, the one thing of character growth they did do for Barney too was, and I think this would have been good too. Obviously, seeing what they ended up doing with the finale, maybe you go back and say, okay, fine, don't even bother putting Barney and Robin together, because they actually made a very poignant thing, which I thought was neat. Because Barney, was a womanizer and all that sort of stuff. He could never really be held down by one woman. And then he finally gets an illegitimate daughter, but the first time he meets her, the one woman that would ever change Barney Stinson would be meeting his own daughter, right?
Yeah.
Like that I liked. But obviously there's a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking to do about it. But
the thing about...
It is what it is now.
The thing about character growth, and they did this with Ted, because Ted had gotten over Robin, as Zach said, at least 5 times throughout the show's run. Yes. But it's like what they'll do is, I'm convinced that sitcom writers are terrified of change, because
especially CBS sitcom writers,
especially
let's be perfectly honest with that too.
Yes, but what happens is
men, cough cough.
Oh, exactly.
What a shit show. But anyway,
you get to the point where. You have this character that, is reasonably popular, but over a couple of years, the character evolves, he changes, he matures. But they're terrified of that. They don't like it because that's not the character they created originally, so they have to revert them. Ted always ends up going back to Robin, and surprise, that's the end game. Barney, matures to the type of guy who could marry and settle down with a family, but then when that falls apart, he's back to just being Barney again. And on a completely unrelated note, Greg, you said that the ending wouldn't detract, and here's kind of where I take issue with that. Seinfeld's finale is much maligned, and I don't want to get into a debate about Seinfeld's finale, but the point is that, Seinfeld's finale was not all that it could have been or necessarily all that it should have been. But that doesn't ruin the series as a whole to me, because as we've established, Seinfeld never had an end game. The final episode of Seinfeld doesn't invalidate 9 years of television that came before it.
But see, that's the thing. I think you're overstating it when you say it invalidates the 9 years that came before it. What it invalidated, the finale, it invalidated the whole premise of the show.
Right.
But and my point is, yes, it did. I won't argue that, because it absolutely did. Because it was all about How I Met Your Mother. He meets her, and she becomes completely irrelevant to the story.
Right. When he finally gets to the point in the finale where it says, "Oh yeah, and I met your mother."
Yeah.
And then she got sick, and I was there under that umbrella, and then I was there when she got sick. It's like, what? You just met her, and now she's dead? Come on.
What I'm saying is that knowing how it's going to end does not detract from what I'm watching right now.
No.
Because I guess I went into it And maybe it's the benefit of not having invested any time into it before I saw the finale, where it's like, whatever, you know? And I mean, you guys make great arguments about it. I can't say that I disagree with it, but it just, to me, it wasn't that important, I guess, is what I'm saying. To me, the ending didn't matter that much to me.
I think we both agree with you that we like the show as a whole. The journey's fun, the episodes are funny, the stories are great. Just when you make a show that it has a stated purpose in the title of the show. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then you get to said stated purpose and then just say, this was the purpose of the show, but not really.
I agree. I completely agree with all of that.
Right.
I think they totally blew the ending. Totally.
So I think we're all in agreement on that, at least.
Yes.
It's when you put 9 years into it, it's like, oh yeah, it's dumb. Like I don't know, were you a huge Dallas fan, Greg?
No.
Okay. So you weren't all beat up when it's like, oh, it's just a dream.
No, but I called that. When they said Bobby was coming back, I swear to God as my witness, I said they're going to make the whole thing a dream. People are like, they can't possibly do that. I said, they're going to make it a dream. I said, it's the only way out of it. You can't dig him out of the ground and make him come back to life. You can't make it a double. You can't do this and that. It has to be she dreamt the whole thing. Sure as shit, I watched the season premiere of the next season, and there it is. He steps out of the shower. She's like, oh, my God, I had the craziest dream. And I said, yeah, there you go. I was a genius for 5 minutes in my life.
I mean, to me, it's the Iron Man syndrome. I just can't be. I just have the feeling of, well, you've been busting my balls for 9 years, and this is it.
Yeah, I guess. This is it. And you know what? Now that we've talked about it, instead of just trying to do it through posts and stuff with people that I don't even know, now that I think about it, I think the reason it doesn't bother me, a big part of it is I don't have time invested in it. I've got a week and a half.
Oh, and the other thing is, like, it's not just the time; it's that they got to a certain point with the show and were clearly just stringing it along.
Yeah,
like that's the only reason why Robin and Ted got back together 5 different times.
I've heard
because they needed something to fill space.
I've heard after the first 5 seasons, it's not very good anyway. Regardless of,
I would know. Like,
there's funny moments, but you know.
The season 5 finale was the last episode I saw before the 2-parter finale, and I just left. I said, you know what? Season 5 was pretty good. I enjoyed it, but this should be wrapping up, and it's clearly not. So
if they had made this if they had gone into this and made it a 5-season show, and planned it just a little bit differently, it would have gone down as one of the greatest comedies of all time.
I think it would have. The problem was that to me, a show like this that has kind of a set end date from its very premise, the writers, the creators need to say from day one, we are going to go no further than 5 seasons.
Right.
When you're in the middle of, when season 5's in the middle of season 5 and the network says, oh, the ratings are great, we want to renew you for another season, you have to be able to say, that probably no.
Well, and you bring that up, and that's another thing why they had to keep stringing it on, because once they got to, I think it was that 5th season, they got to a point where it was, we got to wait to see whether we're going to get renewed or not. And when they said, yeah, we're going to renew you, then it's like, okay, well, now we have to spring this out another year. And then, and after that, it was every year was, will they renew us? Will they not renew us? And until they were told, no, we're not going to renew you. And I think they would have even had a 10th season, but I think the creators were just like, no, we understand. We got to be done with this thing.
It almost ended.
The creative rock is finally dry.
It almost ended after season 8 because Jason Segel was done. He was not coming back. And
right. And if you watch season 9, you can tell that he's not exactly in the same place as everybody else.
Right.
He's there very selectively, and whatever scenes he's in, he's not with everybody else a whole lot.
But I will say this just to close out the conversation on How You Met Your Mother, and it's not really so much about the show, but when actors started coming out and, coming out as gay and stuff, there was a lot of but people were saying, how can we ever take them seriously in a straight role again? Well, I got news for you. Neil Patrick Harris blew that shit right out of the water.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I've got a funny story on that. Every year. I've got a funny story on that regard, actually. So, my friend Eric, who listens to the show, so hi, Eric.
Hey, Eric.
Hi, Eric.
His dad's great, but his dad asked the question, how can Neil Patrick Harris play a straight guy? He's gay. To which he's been told by multiple people, his son Eric, his wife, myself, our friends, we've all told him it's acting, and he just goes, but like he's gay, so like there's no malice intended. It's just a complete disconnect that I just find it funny.
I know, but
There's also gay. The new Spock, Zachary Quinto.
Is he really?
Zachary Quinto's gay?
I did not know that.
Maybe that's why he and Uhura's relationship was on the rocks now.
Yeah, it could be.
Well, that's why he shows no feelings. He's just, I'm Spock. Yes.
But yeah, I wanted to really wanted to point that out because it was just that was the conventional wisdom at the time, and obviously we've progressed quite a bit since this first started happening. But that once you knew a male actor was gay, or a female actor for that matter, that you could never look at them in a straight role and not think they were gay the whole time. You forget that Neil Patrick Harris is gay when you're watching him play Barney.
He kind of just assumes the role, and Barney became one of my favorite.
Barney
things
became
about,
the star of the show.
One of my favorite things about that show, and this is one of the things that the ending didn't really taint for me because it was so completely detached from the ending, but just how evil Barney's corporation was that he worked for.
Yeah. I'm just getting there. He's just now at the Goliath National Bank, so I haven't gotten into all that stuff yet. But yeah,
they finally get him to explain what he does for his job in the 9th season, which is great.
And Please is an acronym for something, isn't it?
No.
Oh, I thought it was.
But
no,
there's one point where he's chewing out a subordinate of his, and he's like, you embarrassed us, you embarrassed our stockholders, you embarrassed our friends, the North Koreans.
Yeah, I've seen that episode. Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that in because I just think he does. I think they're all great. I'll be honest, I don't know that, what's her name, Colby Smulders?
Yeah.
Probably the weakest of the group. She's still pretty good, but I think the other 4 are pretty outstanding actors. So
yeah, I think the Robin stuff is the funniest when they're just bashing on her for being Canadian.
Yeah. I see that now, and I'm like, oh my god, that's Zach. Talking about Canadians, but
and Robin Sparkles is
great. God, that was classic.
Oh yeah. Let's go. Why does it look like the 80s? The 80s didn't arrive in Canada until 1994.
Is that true, Mike?
Don't make me answer that.
And then the Canadian bar is the Hoser Hut, and everyone's wearing a different Canadian hockey jersey.
What was it? There was an episode I just watched the other day, and she's like, "This is." Oh, it was when she goes, "Well, he only got to the blue line with me instead of first base or whatever." That cracked me up.
Have you? I can't remember. I can't remember what season it falls in. Greg, have you gotten to the part where she and Barney go to Canada?
No, I have not.
That's great.
Barney goes to a Tim Hortons, and he's just confused by the whole concept. Why do you love this so much?
I saw the episode where she says, "Oh, you're nuttier than a Tim Hortons maple roll or whatever." Yeah, but
and Barney stands up. Basically, I'm not going to spoil anything, but Barney stands up in a Tim Hortons and tries to fix Canada.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just knowing Barney, that's funny without even seeing it yet. I already know. But
you can fix all this when they make How You Met Your Dad.
Yeah, that's going to fail in about 5 episodes. It won't make it past the first season. Yeah, it's going to be a spinoff.
It's greenlit. They're making How I Met Your Dad.
Not a spinoff, I guess, but a sequel or whatever.
No, it's not. It has nothing to do with any of the people that are in the show currently.
Right. Okay.
It's a completely different person. It's not. They're not taking the mother and making.
Is the dad going to die?
Well, no. The mother's dead, so she could tell the story.
But I guess there's been a lot of negativity I feel is well earned, but I'm gonna end my thoughts on How I Met Your Mother. My favorite episode when Ted creates Mobius designs.
I have not seen designs. The one I'm really looking forward to is when they do the doppelgangers. I really want to see that.
Yeah.
The doppelgangers are good. The musical episode is good. Jeez.
But there's already been some really like I said,
Canadians afraid of the dark.
I went into it expecting to see another version of The Big Bang Theory or Two and a Half Men.
I hate that. A lot of people love The Big Bang Theory.
It's horrible.
I can't stand it.
Well,
you want to know what does The Big Bang Theory better?
Without the laugh track?
There's a British sitcom called The IT Crowd.
Okay.
The most simplest way to describe it is British Big Bang Theory, but it's actually like the same basic premise of Big Bang Theory, as in a nerd-centric sitcom, but it does everything immensely better.
Like, you know what? And I would like the show better. And the thing that's strange, because supposedly he's the guy that carries the whole show, the show would be a lot better without Sheldon on it. I can't stand his character. I cannot stand him.
I think that's the point, though. You're supposed to not be able to stand him.
I know, but it's too grating for me to like enjoy. Like when they're do like scenes without him, I'm like, okay, this is a decent show, and then he comes in, it's like, no, I can't. I just gotta do something else for 5 minutes.
I will tell you guys how unfunny I find that show. I could smoke weed, sit down and watch it, and I guarantee you I could watch 5 episodes and never laugh once. Higher than a kite, it would never make me laugh. That's how unfunny I think it is.
And the 2.5 Men, it was good at the beginning a little bit, and then then Charlie Sheen kind of happened. Yeah, and then once they got rid of Charlie Sheen, like I don't even know, like, what's the point of having that show anymore? Charlie Sheen's gone and the kid is gone. So now it's just
the kid's gone, so now it's just the brother nobody liked in Ashton Kutcher.
Right. It's like it's not even the show anymore.
Yeah. It's kind of like that 70s show when Topher Grace and Ashton Kutcher left that 70s show near the end.
I loved when they tried to make that 80s show. It's kind of the same thing they're doing with How I Met Your Dad.
Yeah,
it's like,
and it's going to be
a concept. Let's do this.
And it's going to be every bit as successful as that 80s show.
Funny
believe
thing
me.
about that 80s show, the star of that 80s show is Dennis from Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, guys, unless we've got more TV to talk on that note, I say we wrap it up.
Oh, well, Game of Thrones starts this weekend.
Woo! Mad Men's coming back soon too.
Yeah. I gotta finally start watching Mad Men on Netflix.
I think you will enjoy it.
Well, and the good part is they're splitting up the season, so I don't even have to catch up before this March. I can catch up before next March.
Oh, are they doing that same thing they did with Breaking Bad?
AMC has nothing left in the tank, so they gotta extend this stuff while they can.
Oh, for God's sakes!
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Did Walking Dead finally end? I stopped caring.
Walking Dead's still around, but they don't have any. I mean, they have Mad Men and Walking Dead. So once they get rid of Mad Men, they're gonna have The Walking Dead, which that's another show that's just being strung along.
Well, get ready for all the quote unquote clues that were there all along in Mad Men that actually weren't, but people are going to start finding them about how the show's going to end. So
and that was the one thing that I hated about How I Met Your Mother ending was. Like, not the actual ending. Well, no, people, like, trying to treat this as this was Lost or something.
Exactly.
When it's like,
the title
it's a sitcom.
The title of one of the episodes was Vesuvius, guys. It was Vesuvius. Yeah. No,
anyway.
And just a quick plug for a television show I thoroughly enjoyed. BBC's Sherlock. 3rd season was fantastic. So if you want...
Right?
Benedict Cumberbatch, the most English man ever. So if you want a good show that actually has clues and mysteries that are actually there and poignant, check that out.
Isn't each season only like 4 episodes long?
Yeah, but it's British television, so each episode's about the length of a movie.
Okay, yeah, and then they get a different actor to be Sherlock every season, right?
No,
you're thinking of Doctor Who, man.
Doctor Who.
Doctor Who switches the doctor every so often, right, Mike?
I thought they did that with Sherlock. I guess I'm wrong. Okay, whatever.
No, it's always Benedict Cumberbatch. But yeah, because of like the nature, like the length of the episodes, they're like feature length, so it works out to the same amount of screen time. So,
well, if we're going to plug TV episodes, and since we were talking about a comedy, I'm going to plug the greatest comedy of all time, The Larry Sanders Show. If you can find it, I think it's on one of the. It's not on Netflix anymore, but it's on one of the other ones, maybe Amazon. I don't remember, but absolutely.
Was that a show on HBO?
Yep.
Okay, then it might be on the HBO Go app.
Yes, greatest comedy of all time. All respect to Seinfeld, but Larry Sanders Show just a little bit better.
I forget which show, I think it was in my radio class. We showed some clips from that during lectures because lectures were far too long.
Yeah,
he works in a radio studio, right?
TV host. He's a late night TV host. Yeah.
Okay, well, same thing.
You guys have never seen Larry Sanders? Wow.
I've seen bits of it. I've never seen like a full episode.
I've never seen it.
Oh, and one more comedy, and Mike, you'll appreciate this one. Trailer Park Boys, pure, absolute, without question, pure genius. Love it.
I've seen my fair share of episodes of the Trailer Park Boys.
Absolutely great.
Have you guys seen the movie that came out?
I tried it, but it's not the same as the TV. It's something about it just doesn't work for me as a movie.
My uncle and I were there opening day for that movie.
I'm sure all of Canada was there.
It was like, awesome.
But anyway, that's going to wrap it up for us for this week. And gosh darn it, guys, if we didn't run out of time for the email again. I promise we will get to it next week. I swear we will get to the email next week.
We're running out of Glorious Tournament of Victory matchups, so we'll have time next week.
We'll have time for the email next week, I promise. So any final thoughts, guys?
I'm really broken up about not getting to the email.
Well, I swear we will get to it next week. I promise.
We even made a point to say, remember to do it before we started recording.
We absolutely did, but what are you going to do? Time ran out. So be sure to follow us on all of our platforms, on Twitter at Basically Sports. Go to the website, basicallyasportshow.com.
Keep voting.
Keep voting for the Glorious Tournament of Victory. We will link to the stuff on the boards and through the Twitter feed. And
only you can determine a rightful champion.
Exactly. And
it's the final countdown.
If you want to take a shot at maybe getting an email read on the air, you can email us at Basically a Sports Show.
I mean, if
we got more emails on a consistent basis, maybe we remember, because we get like, oh my God, there's 20 emails in the box. We got to go. No,
we're okay. We only got a couple that we're behind on.
I mean, if you email us today, we might get around to it in 2016. So
maybe,
you know.
But anyway,
if we have time.
Basically a sports show at gmail.com. And with that, be sure to vote in the Glorious Tournament of Victory. That's all I got. You guys got any final thoughts?
See you guys.
Sorry. No.
Okay. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Ciao.